Yo, hold on. Yo, what is going on? It's me, Adrian. We're back with another VOD, or we're back with another stream. How you doing? It's me. Let's get right into it, shall we? Have a lot of videos to cover. Um, yeah, let's get back into the let's get back into MatPat, shall we? Switch account. No, I'm still on this account. I just need to go to my channel. Okay, give me a second. How you doing? So last night I saw a Twitter thing. Well, I got a couple subscribers. Nice. So last night I saw a Twitter thing, from OTK. If you don't know what the OTK is, wait, actually blew up. What the frick? Hold on. I think my last TikTok blew up, or like my last shorts blew up. What kind of did? Nice. Any comments? No comments. It just kind of blew up. Okay, cool. Okay. What am I doing? 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 MatPat, game theory. Fnaf videos. We're doing every Fnaf video. Playlist. Fnaf 60. Let's turn off the music. Put you here. There we go. Alrighty, MatPat. Wow us, MatPat, with the new video.
No, God, no, 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 God, no, no, no.
Oh, new intro. I like this one. Oh, not even. Wait, you missed it. Hold on. I'm gonna put it back for you.
Screw it. Let's talk about this thing. By all that's
Oh, it's so good. I love this intro, dude.
Screw it. Let's talk about this thing. By all that's unholy, Fnaf is somehow back. Someone got together their little summoning circle of Funko plushies and recycled Chuck E. Cheese pizza and awakened the sleeping behemoth that is Scott Cawthon, and now here we
Yeah, I need to put it down so my
are.
computer won't freaking die.
Trailer for Fnaf 7 and me in children's pajamas. Thank you, internet. Also, can we just agree that this is creepy, right? Not me wearing kids' PJs, certainly, though. Come to think of it, that is really weird. No, the fact that I'm in a nightie that is dedicated to an animatronic that gets dead children stuffed into him. God, man. Merch in 2019. Yeah,
2019. That is wild.
last summer, Fnaf was basically done. The book series had concluded, Fnaf 6 had burned the series to the ground, and Ultimate Custom Night ended the story by trapping William Afton in eternal torment. All that was really left was the movie. Just like Jeremy laid
Oh yeah,
on a nearby
that is currently in production.
time for the
How
sequel.
far have we come?
Rest in peace. But then, back in November, Scott hopped onto Steam to give all us Fredheads an update, and suddenly, the movie was the least certain thing of the group. A VR game? An AR game? More books? A third new game called Into Madness? Clearly, Scott intended me
Into Madness.
since that's exactly
What did yo Brian? What's going on?
so much new Fnaf
What is Into Madness about? We never got that, huh?
Apparently, instead of stuffing children into animatronics, they start getting stuffed into loot boxes. Fast forward 4 months.
So that was probably Security Breach.
And here we are with the first
What was Into Madness? What game was that?
nearly a year. A teaser for one
For the next week?
items
What's next
on
week?
this massive list of animatronic
Oh, it's the Mario movie.
and what it means for
Yay!
definition.
Mario movie Ray Poggers. Very cool. Exciting.
So, let's get
I
analyzing.
will.
First,
We will.
this
We're gonna go to that. Very nice.
shall we? Clearly,
What was this
some
for?
electronics that are all melted together, which would be interesting enough on its own, but making it even
Mario movie Wednesday. Okay, good. Wednesday. I need to root that in my mind so I can know for sure.
You have Freddy, Foxy, and Bonnie all in their FNAF 1 forms, but then you also have the pre-mangle form of Funtime Foxy from Sister Location, and also pre-trapped Springtrap from, well, a lot of different cutscenes throughout the series, but most notably from the Fruity Maze minigame dating in FNAF 6. You can actually tell this based on the general shape of the nose, as well as
Oh,
the
it's a different nose.
imaging that you normally see post-Springlock failure. But since this is a Scott Cawthon teaser, you know that there's going to be more here than just a cool image. If you throw this thing into Photoshop and start brightening it up, step 1 in any FNAF teaser analysis, you're going to see the background has lines. Lines with some oddly inconsistent spacing. And of course, you have text. The quote is from Fazbear Entertainment in the upper right-hand corner, saying that everything is working as intended, but also
So what is?
quite so hidden bunch of text right here in the middle of the image that you really gotta squint to truly read.
I like how there's still
Let something inside.
I like how there's still like a handprint on Freddy's face. That's interesting.
Jeremy, that's the guy from the gravestone. The night guard who has his name on the paycheck from FNAF 2. The supposed Bite of 87 victim. Ladies and gentlemen, sound the alarm.
I'm gonna go like over here.
About the Loeb lad himself, which means that there's only one option here. We are in the same continuity. Cue the party horns and cheerful children sound effects. I know we were all eager to throw out our textbooks at the end of last semester, guys, but it's time to break out FNAF Lore for Dummies one final time.
For Freddy's.
Whoopity-doo! Who's excited? This guy, I guess.
This guy. Wait, what am I doing?
Once has taught me a lot of things, specifically better ways to hide and code messages. And one particularly effective but simple way to do it is by opening image files as text files. So if we open this image file in Notepad, we actually get our answer to that first missing word. Don't listen to them. We let something inside. It was an accident. Remember Jeremy. So with all of that evidence compiled, let's start analyzing before we start digging deeper. Because there's a lot deeper to go, ladies and gentlemen. We are just scratching the surface. Now, the phrase "remember Jeremy" actually tells us a lot of things here. First, it tells us both the speaker
Remember the Alamo?
and the person it's directed to know who Jeremy is. Secondly, it tells us that the events of this game are happening in the aftermath of his death, which
Okay.
is commonly accepted to be the result of the Bite of 87.
Is that the Bite of 87?
It looks like this quote is coming after
I'm gonna be here for another 4 hours. No, not 4 hours, like 8 hours.
murders in the FNAF 2 location and around the time of Michael Afton's revisit to the FNAF 1 building and his discovery of Sister Location's location. In fact, knowing where in the timeline this quote
I'm gonna add my Twitter. I need to rebuild my Discord.
Now, that seems like it might be a stretch. Clearly, these are just meant to be tiles, and while yes, that's probably what they are, the inconsistent spacing still felt weird to me, and it resembled the narrow strip of horizontal bars that many prison
Game.
have. Now think back, way back, to when this story first started. Back to the secret newspapers from FNAF 1. The things that first told us that there was a deeper story to begin with. Quote, video surveillance identified the man responsible and led to his capture the following morning, end quote. And on the follow-up story, headline, 5 children now missing, suspect convicted. While the suspect has been charged, the bodies themselves were never found, end quote. So if these newspaper clippings are still considered canon, this former
There should be.
was convicted, meaning that they found him guilty, and as a result, most likely he went to prison for his crime.
What? Prison happened in the FNAF series?
Only comeuppance seems to have been the Springlock failure and the eventual eternal torment in HE double toothpicks, meaning that there is still a potential story to be told of someone there who's trapped in prison, wrongfully accused, haunted by the nightmarish amalgamation of animatronics.
This never came to like pass, right? Like nothing ever came from this specific plot line.
Is it the story
I
that we're
think.
getting in this game? Probably not. But a boy in Freddy pajamas can dream. Can't he? Let's go back to the text.
It's so
Don't
weird.
trust
That was so weird, bro.
Them could be referring saying that everything is working as intended. Now, as established by Ultimate Custom Night, the only haunted characters who still possess rational thought are Baby and the puppet.
The others are like animals, but I am very aware.
Which eliminates everyone that we currently see on screen here, thereby making it doubtful that the them in this quote is referring to the animatronics. Instead, this seems to be two employees of Fazbear Entertainment talking to each other, basically confirming not to trust what the bosses are saying. All the other lines here, we let something in, it was an accident, remember Jeremy, seem like those same co-workers realizing that something is wrong and that it relates to a mistake that they made, a mistake that's ultimately related to Jeremy's death.
It's giving me the vibes from Sister Location with the two maintenance workers that were killed, like Night 4 or something.
Remember that guy? We don't want to end up like him. So now, looking back across the games, what are some of the mistakes where something deadly has been let in? Well, you got Springtrap being let into Fazbear Fright in Fnaf 3. You have basically the entirety of Fnaf 6's salvage minigames, and Ennard from Sister Location. Ennard, who, funny enough, during the false ending to that game, repeatedly begs you to let him in.
You must help us.
Let me in, Michael.
You must let us.
Don't leave me here. Michael. Don't leave me, Michael. Michael.
And where in the
This series do we have two co-workers who wind up dead because they said something inside.
Sister Location
Again.
Now, it's a scene that's really easy to forget, but Night
Yeah,
5
right.
of Sister
Location starts with Michael Afton putting through the vents, suddenly coming across the hanged bodies of two former technicians. I remember that. I did that. I predicted that. Nice.
Pieces of Ennard. So we have something where the placement in the timeline makes sense. The relationship of the characters to Jeremy as co-workers makes sense. Their skepticism of Fazbear Entertainment definitely makes sense. And you know what? That's not all. Their role specifically as technicians also makes sense with everything that we're learning about this new game. You see, Scott wasn't content to just give us one
teaser.
No, he gave us 8 separate images teasing this new game.
Why do these all look like Gmod?
Thanks, buddy. I mean, sure, we just analyzed the imagery and text of this one image, but if you check the source code of Scott's website, which at this point is Fnaf Research Step 2, right after brightening up the images, you'll notice odd strings of text, all with this tag, content equals. Well, if you take those strings of letters and plug them into the URL bar, it reveals a trove of new findings. The first and most important of them, we're going to be playing as a technician. Here, in this image, we can actually see Freddy's body opened up, ready to be worked on, which perfectly coincides with what Scott teased when he initially mentioned the possibility of this new VR game. Quote, if you liked repairing Funtime Freddy up close in Sister Location, just wait until you try to do something like that in VR, up close and personal, with these huge animatronics that are just one mistake away from jumping at you. Another of these images, the one of Bonnie without the eye, also is teasing at this idea of no longer being a guard, but rather an animatronic tech having to repair all of these robots. So could the main story of this new FNAF game actually be the story of these two hapless technicians who end their lives in an underground robotics bunker? If the quote on this teaser is to be believed, the answer seems to be a solid yes. If it is, it even relates back to the title of the game. You see, going back to look at the source code yet again, you see that the original teaser image is listed as hw.jpg. Now, back in February, buddy Dawko tweeted out that a new FNAF game had gotten leaked on the ESRB ratings website. The ESRB, man, get your act together. First you leak the Super Smash Bros. 4 roster, and now you're leaking the new FNAF game? It is time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? And yes, this is someone else's meme, but I thought it was appropriate for the situation. Plus, I'm in pajamas, thought it would be funny. There it is. Filthy Frank, we miss you. But in all seriousness, this game's title is Five Nights at Freddy's VR.
My Pat, bro. My Pat.
Like
We love him, but the bits get old quickly.
Even confirms that you will be playing as a technician. Quote, once again, players assume the role of a repair person tasked with monitoring and repairing animatronic characters at a pizzeria. From a first-person first-person perspective, players explore dark hallways, complete puzzles, and try to avoid menacing, malfunctioning animatronic figures. The game contains frequent screams and jump scares with the words, "You are dead," appearing on screen after players are attacked. End quote. And what happens when you lose 2 technicians to sudden animatronic-related fatalities? Time to find some more. Throw up the sign. Help.
Nope. Wanted.
So we have ourselves a VR game starring a technician who's repairing animatronics, slowly coming to realize that
Did he predict the name of the game? No, he didn't, right?
Or do we? Looking across all the other teaser images, it feels like this whole game may actually be disconnected.
Oh, these are all part of the game, huh?
All the various settings we visited in this franchise. The tile floor behind that old model of Bonnie suggests that it's the Fnaf 1 location. This shot of Springtrap looming in the background tells us that we're going to be visiting Fazbear Fright. The appearance of Funtime Foxy in the teaser suggests that we'll be visiting Sister Location for some challenges. Heck, we're even going to be invading the crying child's bedroom from Fnaf 4 based on this shot of Baby. Notice the iconic closets from that game as well as the bed.
It's an interesting reason why Baby is there in the first place.
A compilation of the series' greatest scares, only now they're in VR? I don't think so. I do think that this game can and will tell its own unique story that builds out the lore of this franchise, and one of these teaser images solidifies that for me. True to form, Scott hit his biggest reveal the deepest. You see, going on to Scott Games one final
Why didn't he talk
time,
about the 2 baby toys?
Scott Games just for one teaser image, something seems a little off if you're paying close enough attention. You see, the meta label for the website is actually misspelled with a 0 in between the 2 T's. And if you go through the source code with a really fine-tooth comb and a really keen eye, you'll actually notice a couple more typos. An R in content, a big old G in block quote, and an N in the word text.
Organ.
RGN. Type those letters into the URL bar and you get this. Now, clearly it's been obscured very heavily, but if you blur it and affect the contrast a little bit, change some of the levels, you actually get something that looks more like this. Something that doesn't just look like an animatronic, but one animatronic in particular. Notice the half-closed eye.
What is that?
It's Ennard's signature appearance. Half-closed eye, horizontal tube-like lips, an endoskeleton looking to be let in. So, there you have it.
Interesting.
A new VR game telling us the story of 2 technicians who made a fatal career decision. Based on the fact that the game already has a rating, I'm assuming that we're gonna probably see this one coming out pretty soon. It's weird, actually.
Fnaf VR.
Coming out on something like PlayStation 4, the PlayStation VR. I'm excited to see it. Will I be right in my predictions? Well,
No.
we're just gonna have to wait and see.
I don't remember.
Wait, I mean, it's probably out already now. As soon as I hit publish, it probably came out because, you know, that's how Scott goes, right? Is it out? Is it out yet? How about now? Right now. It's there. Nothing? All right, screw it. I'm gonna go get out of these pajamas. But hey,
Why was he in pajamas the entire time?
the new theory where we call it chaos theory. It's a name that I have a lot of. We cover a lot of scary stuff on this.
I'm really upset that MatPat's 4th channel is not like book theory. It really would have fit. I would have really liked book theory, because we got what it's. Food theory was like pushing it, and then style theory was just okay. Yeah, you know what? That's a bit too far.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where today, call me Gloria Bolger because our top story
Bruh.
is an oopsie.
PewDiePie blowing up at this time, probably.
By one big man. Actually, I don't know what his relative size is. He's just big in the gaming space. And that man's name is Scott Cawthon. Now, if you're not familiar with what happened, let me catch you up. Last episode, we analyzed a teaser image for Scott's new VR game, Fnaf Help Wanted. What I didn't mention in that video, though, was that it was only online for just a couple of hours. In fact, by the time I had gotten to check out this thing, it had been wiped clean from the internet. Only preserved thanks to some dedicated Redditors, specifically GB Aura Recharged. Now, Scott is no stranger to posting things only to rip them off the internet later. He's done it with comments on my videos. He did it with version 1 of Fnaf World. His contents of the infamous Fnaf 4 box, yep, those got changed. Heck, even the script for his new movie was written, approved, and ready to shoot, and then he just threw it out. It's like, this community deserves better. But this time, it was
True.
different.
Thanks for getting it now. This year.
Had unintentionally used fan art. As he said on Reddit, quote, "My first teaser in more than half a year was made using questionable choices at best and traced fan models at worst." He then went on 2 days later to clarify further, quote again, "As you all remember, the artwork that I teased for the game, which was actually a portion of the cover artwork, included characters that had used fan art and fan models as references. When I learned about that, I was obviously pretty upset and took down the teaser.
Wow.
Working on the artwork used images that he thought were mine. If anything, everyone who had one of their models referenced should pat themselves on the back, because your models look like they were canon. I think it's a testament to the fan community that the fan models rival mine. Many of them looked identical, and some of them look better." So the TLDR of this whole thing is that he pulled down the teaser because it used recolored, reskinned models made by a fan of
Ooh.
characters that Scott Cawthon himself created that looked so close to the original creation.
I'm sorry, they just don't.
The team couldn't tell
Like
the
you
difference
could,
from the originals.
I can see Funtime Foxy,
Really interesting
but
thing
Springtrap does not look similar.
are his characters, after all. And the fan-made models were so close that they probably wouldn't have been seen as any sort of transformation.
I don't think so.
Now,
Yeah,
obviously,
the Springtrap one is like, come on, bro, you should have known.
pulling the teaser was absolutely the correct decision from a goodwill standpoint, but what would the law say about this? After doing the research, it's a lot more complicated and interesting than you might think. To get there, we're
Well, that's just a theory. A game theory.
Naughty Dog lives up
Thanks
to
for
the name,
watching.
why your photographs of the Eiffel Tower are probably illegal, and why everyone's in an
What is
uproar
this,
about Rule 34.
dude?
Boy, welcome online.
Dude, kids watch your channel, bro.
Don't know what's hitting it. Terrible last line. Whoo boy, copyright law doesn't know what's hitting it. Copyright law don't have an indicator. Just gonna segue over to the next paragraph. Oh, and before we dive into this episode, you might have noticed that I actually released another.
Oh my
episode
gosh.
besides this one today. In that upload, I specifically talk about this channel and a lot of our own personal issues that we've had with fan art in the past, as well as a way to
Hold
protect
on.
yourself if you're a fan artist who's working online right now. It's actually a really important video for me, touching on a topic that I've stayed really quiet about for quite a long time. So before you go down into the comments and start laying into me for not being allowed to cover this issue because I supposedly stole fan art in the past, please go watch that video too. That's actually why it's a dual upload. I couldn't really decide which one made more sense to go first, because really the two complement each other. They comment off of each other. So just please watch both. It'll do me a favor. It'll save me a lot of grief.
Bro really like pushes this stuff like in the Fnaf videos, because they're like the most like well-doing videos on his channel, honestly.
That there's a lot of fan work out there that is transformative, that is not considered to be a copy of anyone else's work. This episode actually isn't about that. Today, we are purely focused on fan art that's intended to closely represent a character that already exists, and all the basic legal
It's a 20-minute video. Oh, this is gonna be boring.
We all on the same page? We all good? Great! Let's get into it!
What if I do like Subway Surfers gameplay?
Now, Scott is far from the only game maker that's had a copyright oopsie when it comes to teasing a new game. Case in point, the original version of the trailer for Uncharted 4: A Thief's End was released containing a painting that
No, I don't want to do that.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag's concept art. The one with the pirate. I gotta give credit where credit's due here, guys. That is incredibly on brand. Stealing artwork
Okay.
to promote a game that has the word thief in the title. Very smart. Very meta. You Ubisoft wasn't appreciating that level of meta commentary though, and Sony was quick to pull the video and replace the asset. Oopsies like this also aren't just limited to marketing materials and teasers either. Back in 2013, a graphic designer named Cameron Booth made a post announcing that he was effing furious with the fact that the game The Last of Us featured a map that he had made of the Boston Metro. First off, I'd like to point out that The Last of Us, just like Uncharted, is a Naughty Dog game. I guess we know what the naughty is referring to in their name. But after what I assume was a swift apology and a fairly decent payoff, Cameron quickly dialed back his language in a later public post saying, "It seems as if matters will be resolved to everyone's satisfaction shortly." Great, I'm so happy for you guys. Money truly heals all wounds. But this
Fair enough.
already starts to reveal some weird nuances of the copyright world, because while the graphic designer who made the picture
That was released in 2013?
and was absolutely in his right
Really?
to complain about the improper usage, he actually doesn't have the copyright to the Boston Metro.
When does
Does that sound dumb? You bet.
When
it
did
does. In fact, it is so
The
dumb
Last of
it can't
Us?
be anything other than real.
Actually,
Real
2023.
world
Okay, well, I thought that game released. I thought that game released like a lot earlier.
The song of another musician, so too
Jack
an
Black game.
architect can't copy the building design created by another architect. Things get even weirder though when you start thinking about what this means for pictures that people are taking in front of buildings. Those pictures technically are violating copyright, or at least they would be if it wasn't for this idea of freedom of panorama. You see, most countries have some law or general understanding in place that says you won't get sued if you decide to create an Instagram story showing yourself posing in front of some famous landmarks. Notice though that I said most countries. Most does not equal all. Case in point, France. France doesn't have freedom of panorama. As a result, technically speaking, you legally shouldn't be able to post photographs of the Eiffel Tower, but only the night photographs. You see, because the Eiffel Tower without lights was built in 1889, that one is old enough to have entered the public domain. But the lights that go on at night were installed in 1985, thereby making this an artistic work with live copyright, making posting photos of it illegal. That means that anything you find in a regular Google image search under Eiffel Tower at night was probably taken by fearless outlaws who are flouting the law, throwing caution to the wind.
That is
posting
wild.
the poorest photos of the Eiffel Tower.
I'll probably do it anyway, honestly.
Probably a bunch of developers at Naughty Dog being like, whatever, we don't care. We steal artwork all the time. We're Naughty Dog. We're dogs who are naughty. So what does the Eiffel Tower have to do with Fnaf fan art? Well, obviously, people are taking photos of the Eiffel Tower and art getting thrown in le prison. I actually just learned the word for prison when I took French. And that's because
It's
these
prison,
crazy
bruh.
laws don't matter for people who are only using the image for personal consumption. You put an image on your fridge or you slap it on the desk at your office, you're fine. But the second you publish that image, it becomes a different story. Just take a look at any stock image website like Getty Images, which is a business built on legally owning the rights to every image in their archive, and you'll notice that most of the images of the Eiffel Tower, even the ones with low light, don't feature the lights on the building turned on. And this is where things get tricky. As if they weren't overly complicated enough. You see, if you publish a piece of artwork that features a character like Mangle or Mario or Mewtwo or heck Elsa, and you don't own the copyright to that character, then publishing that fan work is technically a copyright violation, which merits a huge question: what counts as publishing? Now, obviously, publishing includes things like putting it in a book that ends up in Barnes & Noble, but publishing actually has a much broader definition in the legal sense. Publishing in the broadest
Posting. It
sense
means
of
to
the word
post something
means
in the public
causing
place.
something to become public or making it publicly known. That means that
Okay.
everything from printing up and handing out a bunch of flyers on the street to, you guessed it, posting it online is covered. It doesn't even matter if it's a non-commercial type of posting. Posting fan art non-commercially on your blog or a site like Tumblr or Instagram or Twitter all count as publishing that image. And if you're thinking to yourself, wow, that affects a lot of people, yeah, it does. You're absolutely right. Technically speaking, every fan artist on Tumblr and DeviantArt and Pinterest and Pixiv and their own independent blog, they are technically violating copyright every time they post a new sketch of an existing character that's not transformative enough to be considered fair use. I know that sounds unbelievable, and that every fan artist out there is lighting their torch and rummaging for their proverbial pitchfork to come after me right now. But first off, don't kill the messenger here, guys.
Proverbial
Really,
pitchfork.
this is the
Is that
truth
correctly
based on the lawyers that I've spoken with and the
said?
legal papers that we've read. That is the letter of the law. But the letter is obviously only half the story, considering, of course, that the prisons across the country aren't
Hold on, let me look that up.
trash fan artists and bending
Proverbial.
modelers. Though it'd be pretty funny if they were. What are you in for? Killed a guy. You? I drew a pink pony very accurately. In actual practice, the situation favors fan artists a lot more than you might first think. As you can see pretty much everywhere on the internet,
okay.
it's really
It's like
rare for
poetically,
copyright holders to try and
metaphorically,
enforce
is what
copyright.
proverbial
The
means.
only instances where you see this actually happen tend to be when a brand feels that the art that's being made really misrepresents their IP. One really convenient example of this in the gaming world is Blizzard, who issued DMCA takedowns across
Here we
a
go.
bunch of different fan art in efforts to stop people from making, how do I put this nicely? Renditions of Overwatch characters in compromising situations, loving each other just a bit too much
Bro,
for their liking.
come
For those
on.
of you who have the foreign tongue, images of their characters in flagrante delicto, in the carnal.
Okay, bro.
Basically, Blizzard wanted people to skip from Rule 33 to Rule 35 of the Internet Handbook, if you catch my drift. And you can imagine just how effective Blizzard was at accomplishing that goal. Not that I would know personally, I was just doing research. For a friend. Anyway, according to the guidelines from
Yeah, it's
Blizzard's
not mine.
policy on fan-made creations, they cracked down in order to, quote, maintain and protect the image of their games. They also said Blizzard requires that productions maintain the T rating that has been given to its products by the ESRB. And I get that, right? It makes sense. While it might have been kind of a futile effort to remove sexy time from the internet, legally speaking, they're entirely within their legal right to protect their brand. But speaking of legal rights, it is a two-way street. Even though a company owns the rights to its characters, you, as the fan artist, own the right to your individual piece of fan art. So going all the way back to our example of Fnaf fan art, which there's a lot out there, if you drew a picture of Freddy and the Cupcake, what are the actual rights for that image? Well, Scott owns the copyright to the character, but you own the copyright to that specific image. So you can't publish it, you don't own the rights to the character, but Scott also can't publish that image because he doesn't have the rights to your artwork. You are both caught. As it turns out, no one really has the rights to publish that image. Unless, of course, you both agree to it, but good luck there. Scott doesn't talk to anyone. Except for Dawko. Probably a secret son. I don't know. He talks to Dawko like all the time. Now, what would have happened if Scott hadn't owned up to his oopsie and the situation had actually escalated? What could the fan artist who created those character models have done to him? Turns out a very similar issue has come up and was settled in a fairly famous case with the iconic Obama Hope image from that election. The artist of the famous Obama image, Shepard Fairey, who is actually one of my favorite street artists, created the artwork, but he copied the image from a photograph of Obama that he, quote, found on the internet, but it was owned by an independent photographer from the Associated Press. In court, the ruling was that the Hope artwork infringed on the copyright of the original photograph. The original owner of the photograph now participates in all money that's earned by the rights to that image. This is also the one case where I'll actually mention fair use, because Shepard Fairey actually tried to make the argument that his work here was transformative, but the court didn't buy it. In fact, he almost went to jail for it. The upshot of this whole thing is that, in theory, if a legal fight like this one would have happened in Scott's case, it could have very easily landed.
Thank you for the follow, bro. I don't know how to say your name, but appreciate the follow. Hell yeah.
For Scott to win. Luckily,
Vidging
none of that
Fnaf.
happened. And I
Ray
think
Pog.
a lot of that is because Scott holds himself to a higher standard and wouldn't have wanted to do a disservice to his fans. As he said in his apology, quote, "The only thing I care about is doing right by this community." Good on you, man. But there is another compelling reason for Scott to take that teaser down. money. You see, the other big
Money?
complicating factor in
True.
all of this isn't whether someone is
But how can you earn money
violating
on fan art
copyright
though?
or
Because
whether
generally
they're
it's not
actually
monetized in
making
the first
money
place.
while doing the infringing. In the United States, criminal copyright laws prohibit you from actually using someone else's intellectual property for your own financial gain. This means that when you post your fan art online, you're not going to face any criminal liability. Fan artists, you are good to go. Sketchy nerd t-shirt companies that are selling unlicensed Nintendo merch, though, you might not be so safe.
Stop! You violated
That
the
is
law.
fair.
Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence.
I never played Skyrim. I kind of want to, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to.
Well, that could land you in some legal hot water as well. And I know that this is the most sensitive subject around fan art because of all the commission that artists earn by doing fan art made to order for other members of their fan communities. I'm not condemning anyone. I'm not passing any sort of judgment on anyone else's online business. As someone who uses a lot of online images of other people's IP, I'm kind of digging my own grave here as well. This whole topic just makes me uncomfortable, especially since that's still not the end of this whole story. There's still only a select couple of ways that you could actually be sued, even if you did commercialize your fan art. The company would need to show in court that your art had damaged their company in some way, using the naughty Overwatch picture example again, if I can. If Blizzard took the fan
Dude,
art
Map Hat, bro, what are you
court,
doing?
need to prove that somehow this adult
No, Jeff
art
Kaplan.
had damaged their brand in some way. In their case, Blizzard is trying to market their game Overwatch as a family-friendly experience for all players ages 13 and over. And so the brand may actually get hurt if the first thing that comes up when mom starts Googling Orisa is a bunch of
Stop showing it. My gosh, bro.
unfriendly images.
This dude.
What?
Oh my gosh.
It's actually hard to tell. Well, it seems like they would actually have a good case. It's still really hard to quantify how much their brand would get hurt by stuff like this, which is blurry behind me. For your safety, I swear.
Your safety is my primary concern.
And that's a pretty clear-cut case here. In most instances, fan art doesn't compete with the official images from the game. So what does all of this mean for you, the fan artist? Well, it means that you probably don't have to worry about getting sued. And even if you are getting close to getting sued, you're probably going to know that you're doing something wrong long before anything happens. Like in 2015, the Pokemon Company went after a cafe that ran a Pokemon party unofficially at PAX that promoted itself using Pikachu posters and charged an entry fee. Or, in another case, a woman was threatened legal action from 20th Century Fox because she was selling a Firefly-themed hat on her Etsy store. So, long story short, just don't charge admission to your next Pokemon-themed birthday party and leave the Firefly apparel for Hot Topic. But to bring it all the way back around to
What's
Fnaf
Firefly?
one last time, well, Scott
I've never heard of Firefly
doesn't
before.
gain a whole lot by
Other than, like, the
suing
animal.
for their creations. He does
Max
stay
explaining law in 50 states of the United...
a whole
Map
lot.
explaining law
Fan-made
in all 50
models
states of the United
art
States of America.
for a game that is for profit
Reasoning why
and
Scott Cawthon
potentially make millions of
Reddit
dollars.
whether or not they can post Gregory. No,
Box art, it would, in
that's
theory, open
isn't
up
that so
a
illegal? Because Gregory is a child.
problem where he might
It would just be CP. Like that would still be illegal. Wouldn't it be? I doubt it will, because there's other types of that kind of art around the internet as well, which is all illegal. So wouldn't that be illegal too?
Maybe he's not interested in giving that much back. But hey, that's just a theory, and certainly not.
That's just a theory. Bruh. That kind of art. Yep. That kind of art. That's where we're going with this. Has it really been 20 minutes? I've been listening to this guy talk for like 20 minutes. I have. Okay. Well, maybe more than 20 minutes. How many hours has it been? It's at least 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 minutes. 8 hours. 9 hours. Total 9 hours so far. I've gone into the actual playlist. Game Theory. Thanks for watching. 37 more hours to go. Let's go to the next video. What? Let me see. Hold on. What is this groovy music going on, man? Pat, how you doing? What's with this groovy music, bro? Frick. Okay. New video is called Fnaf. You were meant to lose. Oh, you were meant to lose. Oh, interesting. I do not remember this one. And this one was released how many years ago? 3 years ago. Wow, nice. They got pretty recent. I think he picked up more near the end, cause okay wait, so we're at video 27. Within 27 up to 64. 64 minus 27 is 33, right?
But can you really blame me? These games have confirmed
Yeah.
endings in FNAF
33 videos in the span
4, 6, and Ultimate Custom 9.
of
Like
3
Dr.
years.
Strange saw 14 million different endings, and Scott Cawthon was like, "I'll take them all."
Which about 11
FNAF World
videos a
Tour,
year.
FNAF
It went from
50
8 videos a year
was less of a
for
joke
8 years
of a preview
to
of
11 videos a year
anyway,
for 3 years.
all
Bro, I had 11 videos, like one FNAF video per month, basically.
Pat Insanity Simulator, but after a year of detoxing, Five Nights at Freddy's is back with a new official game in the series, and it, more so than any other installment, feels like an inflection point. A game that is simultaneously looking back to pay tribute to where these games began, as well as a game that's looking forward to lay the
Yes, I
groundwork
think it
for where
does.
this franchise is headed. This isn't just
Because Security Breach eventually came out too, and which is like a whole new stage of the series.
Closes the book on the old lore and also launches us into FNAF: The Next Generation. It seems to analyze
Freddy
the
in
old
space,
history
let's
from the
go.
previous games, all while opening up the themes and tone for what's to come. And there is a lot to unpack.
And the box was never opened,
Without question, the meatiest
which is
game
kind of
in the
sucky.
FNAF library, which is impressive.
I'm gonna look it
but
up.
it's still a VR title. So let's not waste
Was
any time and get started with the basics.
the
Now, in case
FNAF
you don't have a VR
box
headset, I've actually played through the
ever
entire game on GT
opened?
Live, so you can check out all the highlights. No!
It was scrapped. Oh, that's so cringe, bro.
And lowlights of my playthrough over there.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm here to give you your happiest day ever. Come with me, wayward souls.
That's so cringe that the box was never solved.
But let me quickly take you through what you need to know for today's theory. In Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, we're playing as a beta tester for a new Freddy game. As we're told in the opening cinematic,
We know that Fazbear Entertainment has developed something of a bad reputation over the last few decades. While it's true that some stories associated with our name were loosely based on actual events, the majority of them were total fabrications from the mind of a complete lunatic. Lawsuits pending.
and yes, that picture is really Scott Cawthon canonically inserting himself into this game. That is a discussion
Bruh,
for another
that is
episode,
kind of funny though.
because
That does that.
it throws all sorts of weird monkey wrenches into the lore, but we'll get to that later. So according to the intro, Scott's Games gave Fazbear Entertainment a bad name, and the point of this Freddy Fazbear virtual experience then is to poke fun of their past, clear their name, and ultimately rebuild the brand. Seems simple enough, right? Play through some loving recreations of past games as well as some new minigames, and that's it. Job complete. A new generation of Faz fans fall in love with all these new characters and add to Scott Cawthon's growing pile of money.
Don't forget the merch perfect for birthdays.
Speaking of merch, Fazbear Entertainment ain't the only ones chilling for their supper. Game Theory merch is also perfect for birthdays. Heck, probably even more perfect for birthdays, Scott. And, wouldn't you know it, we just released a bunch of new items for you.
Bruh.
Can't sleep at night because you got some creepy
Dude, this
animatronic
dude
hanging out in your
plugs
closet?
his
We've got you covered.
merch
The color-changing Game Theory
every video, dude.
keep animatronics at bay because it's powered by USB. You don't even have to worry about your batteries running out at 5:55 a.m. Or maybe
Let's see, is it?
to really do something better here on YouTube.
Yeah.
So with that being said, show off to the world that you
That
actually
is-
understand the
thanks-
lore of
thanks,
these
Matt Pat.
games
You're
or
truly
like you understand the lore
amazing.
of these games by nabbing yourself some new theoryware. Link is right up here or it's on the top line of the description. Now with that out of the way, back to VR. Playing through the game, it is legitimately impressive. Pretty much everyone here is recreated in a stunning 3D environment. Bonnie, Baby, Funtime Freddy the Puppet, heck, even Easter egg appearances by Mini Renas and Lolbit. Characters that most of you watching this probably haven't even heard of before because you have much better things to do with your brain space than I do. Practically everyone is here in this game, except for one important omission. Golden Freddy. I mean,
Oh,
Laura
damn.
isn't around either, but you know, I said important.
Damn.
It's weird, right? I mean, this is a game.
I mean, they're in like a different like body at this point, right?
First 3 installments of the series. You don't just forget about one of the most important characters to the lore of these games. Well, that's because it isn't some careless oversight. Golden Freddy isn't here for a reason. It's our first clue that this game isn't just a joke and is a canonical entry. Specifically, it tells us where it falls in line with everything else that we've played through. Golden Freddy isn't here because she's busy hanging out in HE double Chica arms with William Afton. Think back to the end of Ultimate Custom Night and our previous theories. By tracking the voice lines used throughout the game over screens, we were able to piece together that we're playing as William Afton in that game, child killer extraordinaire, and that the whole game was him trapped in heck to atone for his sins. And the thing that was keeping him there was the one he should not have killed, a girl named Cassidy, the spirit who had an axe to grind, possessing the Golden Freddy suit. The reason Golden Freddy isn't in Fnaf VR is because the spirit is down there tormenting Willie A forever, from here until the end of the series. That's why the ultimate ending of Custom Night was Golden Freddy twitching off into the darkness. Cassidy never gives up her soul, no matter what Old Man Consequences said. Further cementing that Help Wanted is now at the end of the Fnaf timeline is this miserable little creature right here, the Scrap Baby plush. Because why wouldn't you want to cuddle with something that rips in half and eats children alive? Let me remind everyone who doesn't have an encyclopedic index of all 60 plus animatronics that have graced the screen in this franchise that Scrap Baby is the homeless hobo version of the old baby after escaping sister location and who was voted out of the Ennard tribe sometime between FNAF 5 and 6. Her only on-screen appearance is in FNAF 6, so the fact that a reference to her exists in this game at all means that it must come after her expulsion from Ennard, sometime definitely after FNAF 5, but again, with Golden Freddy missing, it seems to secure it after everything's burned down and closed. So we have ourselves a company that's trying to rebuild its reputation after a series of tragic events. Seems pretty simple, right?
I don't know why they keep trying to rebuild it in the first place. Like this is like a dead in the water kind of thing that they're just trying to survive off of eating each other.
Tapes that, when collected, unleash a new monster into the hallways of this pizzeria. What the game's files refer to as Glitch Trap, a yellow bunny with purple eyes. Yellow bunny with purple eyes, you say? I think I might know where this is headed. As you collect more and more tapes, this glitch rabbit comes closer and closer, becoming more and more fully formed. Beat all the minigames, and you unlock the final challenge, Pizza Party, a nightmarish fever dream that mashes together every location that you just played through. Waiting for you at the end of this horrific maze is the single scariest moment from the entire franchise. And I can't emphasize that enough. It is literally chilling. What you learn is that
Bro's scared of
the
Fnaf.
7-year-old, have been lured to the back room of Freddy's. And what awaits you is your pizza party, complete with your favorite flavor.
Why is it?
All your best animatronic friends, and then Glitch Trap calls you to follow him. The music fades, and suddenly you're on stage. You're holding Freddy's microphone. You are Freddy.
Oof.
Stuffed. You are now a missing child, watching as your killer dances gleefully to the song that you're being forced to stand up on stage and sing. This isn't just a spoopy jump scare of some goofy character. This is real horror. So it definitely seems like this new character.
I do like the animation for like someone dancing though. It is pretty unique.
Suit isn't as bulky as a Springlock suit, but he's got all the other qualifications down. Yellow bunny fursona, check. Association with the color purple, check. Enjoys children's pizza parties, just a wee bit too much. Big old check again. Then again, to call this character William would be missing a huge chunk of this game's story. This isn't William. Like I said, he's trapped in eternal torment with Cassidy, listening to Barney the hippo over here tell his life story.
Dry bread was always fresh on Tuesday. They made sourdough bread on Monday and threw it out Wednesday. What was I saying?
No, to understand who, or better put, what this thing actually is, we need to examine the tapes that summon Glitch Trap here in the first place. Scattered throughout the various minigames are 16 glitching cassettes left behind by a former game dev, Tape Girl, which, when put together, tell the story of a failing game company, a bit of malicious code, and some very stabby office supplies. We're also introduced to the story of another beta tester, who was in our position before us, named Jeremy, making this the third time that the name Jeremy has appeared in these games, with the first being FNAF 2's Night Guard, and then again on the gravestones in FNAF 6. Coincidence? I think not. The first tape immediately makes it clear we're not picking these up in chronological order.
There are more. They may not be in order.
which leaves us the task of shuffling them into some modicum of sense in order to put the story together of what really happened while this game, the game we're supposedly playing now in its final form, was in development. Going through the tapes, I've done the shuffling for you, and I think I've come up with the most cohesive narrative based on the evidence and what Tape Girl actually says. She begins by telling us that the game's then playtester Jeremy has been complaining to his manager Dale about nightmares. Except he's not explaining them like they're nightmares, he's talking about them like they're real.
He wasn't talking about it like someone telling a friend about his dreams, though. He was pale. He doesn't even jump anymore. He just stands there like he's talking to someone.
Pale? Doesn't react to scares? Talking to themselves? Sounds to me like he's going crazy. Either that or he's just a Fnaf YouTuber. Hashtag
Bruh.
relatable, am I right? The game he's working on is this one, Freddy Fazbear's Virtual Experience, which includes some code that was inherited from Fazbear Entertainment. Scanned off some old hard drives to save him time and money.
It was just junk. Circuit boards and things like that. It seemed to take hold by itself. But then, he started appearing. At least that's what Jeremy said.
Manager Dale doesn't seem to take Jeremy's warning seriously, however, and instead he starts documenting all of Jeremy's behavior in preparation to fire him.
You can always tell when a company is getting ready to fire someone. The thing about it is that I don't think they were going to fire him because of anything he was doing wrong. They just knew he'd seen something.
This confirms for us one major detail, that the scariest thing in the FNAF universe is crunch time. Working long hours until you're driven crazy and then
Crunch.
fired at the end?
That's funny.
It's just like the real-life games industry. It's uncanny. These games just get more and more realistic. So Jeremy is going crazy and no one is listening. Flash forward to tape 6 where Tape Girl talks about coming in early one morning to see the supply room lit and Jeremy in the darkened testing room. It's a short tape, but it's an important one because it sets us up for tape number 9 when we learn that what she saw looked like a Halloween mask laying on the ground and a bunch of ink both on Jeremy and scattered around the floor. But that's not ink, and that's no mask. The ink is Jeremy's blood, and the mask is actually Jeremy's face, which he presumably sliced off his own body using the aptly named guillotine paper cutter. We know this to be true thanks to tape number 4, where we hear Tape Girl say that the cutter comes from the supply room and that Jeremy expressly knew where it was.
I didn't even know we had one in the supply room. I was always afraid of losing a finger. That seems so silly now. Jeremy used to do design work. I guess that's how he knew it was there.
And for as extreme as this sounds, we know that he sliced off his face due to all these seemingly minute details about how his face was obscured that morning.
I went back and peered in the window. I couldn't see his face. He had the visor covering his head.
Anyone else getting some bizarre Bite of 87 vibes from this story? No? Is it just me? Huh. So Jeremy eventually dies from his injuries. After Jeremy's death, things start getting even weirder, which is a relative statement considering that this is the FNAF franchise we're talking about. Tape Girl overhears a conversation about a lawsuit in the aftermath of Jeremy's death, which makes perfect sense given that he died a horrific death on the job. In response, the company starts taking some serious steps to cover their tracks, namely to sell off the game and destroy evidence that could incriminate him. In the meantime, Tape Girl takes over Jeremy's role as playtester, and all we can hope is that she really cleaned that VR headset before she put that thing back on. She has 3 days to playtest the game. Across her audio logs, we learn that in that time, she sees Glitch Trap for the first time and comes to learn that he's attached itself to her audio logs. She tries to delete them, but can't. So instead of deleting them, she fragments and disperses them into the 16 small pieces we've been collecting throughout our playthrough, warning us that they shouldn't be reunited at any cost.
Hide all traces of these logs that I've created. I fear that finding them and reassembling them will also reassemble the very thing I've tried so desperately to destroy.
Whoops! Probably shouldn't have hidden that info on tape 15 of 16. After that, though, she seems to backtrack on her story, saying that in fact the entity in the game can be killed, and that to do so we should reassemble the tapes. Odd, but okay, we've got them all anyway, so might as well see what we can do. Glitch Trap attacks us once we have 16 tapes, and if we don't respond in time, we trade places with him. For a brief second, we see through his eyes back down at the console that we were just operating. Our consciousness has truly melded with his, just like the voiceover warned about at the top of the game.
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for accidental digital consciousness transference.
So that's a bad ending. But if we do manage to properly follow tape Tape Girl's instructions as he's trying to mind meld with us, well, he still seems like he escapes. Or at the very least, he definitely doesn't die. This should have been like some Mr. Smith in the Matrix moment where all his code disintegrates or something. But instead, we're trapped on one side of a door in the game. A bloody, hand-printed door with scratch marks clearly showing people stuck in here desperately trying to escape. And we see Glitch Trap practically skipping off into the darkness. This doesn't seem like the ending we should be getting for putting all the pieces of the tape together and following all the tape maker's instructions. That would basically mean that FNAF VR has 3 losing scenarios here. Getting stuffed at the end of a pizza party,
It's more of like a middleman between the first season of the game, like, and then it was like a middleman between like the first era of the game, with like FNAF 1 to like this location, whatever. Then like it brought us into the new the new leaf of the series. The security breach and all the stuff coming out with FNAF. So that's how it is.
FNAF 6, you and literally everyone else burned to death. I mean, it's considered a victory, but you're still dead. Now, let's look closer at the text of the audio logs. There is something clearly wrong in them. The tapes start out just fine. They follow her story in a pretty logical way, and we know she's a real person in the real world because she's observing things from outside the game's testing room. Things like Jeremy complaining to management and the stuff that's present in the supply room. But then, upon closer inspection, you start noticing some strange anomalies. For instance, we have 2 tapes that both start with her introducing who she is. A hi or a hello followed by, "You don't know me," or "Can you hear me?" which is our first hint that something's a bit off. The same person is making these tapes the whole time for the same audience. So why introduce herself to us twice in both tape 1 and tape 2? Why would one end with her saying,
"Now I fear that those logs are being used as a Trojan horse. If you're unable to abandon development, hide all traces of these logs that I've created."
Basically telling us to hide the logs, but then also say this.
There are more. They may not be in order.
Basically inviting us to put them all together. Weirder still is the fact that the last file suddenly does this major about face relative to all the previous logs, where suddenly she says out of nowhere, "Oh yeah, there is a way to kill Glitch Trap." This is odd on a lot of different levels. The first and most obvious being, if these instructions really do work and she's so sure about it, why didn't she follow them? If this method was actually effective and she knew it was effective, Glitch Trap wouldn't be in the game anymore, because she would have followed her own advice and wiped him out. How would she even know that this system works? The answer is, it clearly doesn't. Or at least it doesn't do what she says it's gonna do. That's because she's not trying to get you to kill off the entity in the code, she's trying to get you to release it. While we don't have every piece of the puzzle in this story, here's what I think actually happened with all these audio tapes. The tape maker starts out genuinely making these logs to document the weird stuff that's happening in the game studio. The stuff with Jeremy really happens. She really sees Glitch Trap in the game, but on her last day of playtesting, she tries to delete the files and fails. Instead of killing Glitch Trap, she undergoes a digital consciousness transfer, just like we do in one of the 3 bad endings, trapping her in the game and releasing Glitch Trap, presumably into her own body, or just releasing him into the real world. Both of which are possibilities that the game explicitly warns us about in the opening sequence.
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for accidental digital consciousness transference, real-world manifestations of digital characters.
That, my friends, is why you always have to read the disclaimer. From inside the game, she's now stuck, with her only hope for escape being to go through the same process she just went through from the other side. She creates a new log, starting over by saying,
"Hello? Can you hear me?"
which in reality is saying, "Hello, can you hear me in here?" since she's now making the log from inside the game. She tries to create a new story that encourages a future developer to piece the logs back together, and then seeds one final log out there to tease the idea that a future developer can solve the problem by killing off Glitch Trap using her log assembly method. It's smartly constructed, because she's counting on future developers having the same curiosity and determination she did. She even mentions this in one of her earlier logs, tape 3, that when Jeremy had told the developers that something was wrong,
But as a dev team, we all just saw it as a challenge to find what the problem was and fix it.
we do exactly the same thing, finding what's wrong and following the instructions on how to fix it, only to find ourselves on the wrong side of the door covered in handprints, where presumably lots of other people have been there before us. Glitch Trap, or whoever is in the body of Glitch Trap at this point, perhaps Tape Girl herself, disappears into the darkness and takes over our body on the outside. And now it's our turn to wait for the next beta tester to come in, follow the tapes, and hand over their consciousness to us. Now, that last bit there is speculation based on the oddities in the audio logs and the fact that following her instructions results in seemingly yet another bad ending. But even if all of that about consciousness switching and her being trapped in the game and us taking her place trapped in the
Hold
game
on.
isn't the case, the point is William's back, just not in a way that any of us expected. What seems undeniable in Help Wanted's story is the fact
There you
that
go.
his consciousness was preserved in the circuit boards that got scanned to make this game. And now he's here as Glitch Trap, tricking players into letting him escape. It's no longer the same guy. He's now an AI replicating the behaviors of William and snatching the body of whatever completionist is determined enough to play through all the elements of the game. In a funny way, it's exactly like the story we've been piecing together for Petscop. Odd, actually. Maybe they really are one and the same, both made by Scott Cawthon. The biggest lingering question now in my mind, though, how many Williams are out there? Is this just one instance of an AI looking to escape, and now we're the new host body? Or is it somehow able to replicate itself, copying and pasting its code into any mind out there that's playing its little game? Could we be entering a new part of the Fnaf franchise with multiple William Aftons, all in completely different bodies? For as cool as that would be, and honestly I think this game could open up that world, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that's why there's such an emphasis in this game on you being a beta tester. It's one instance of corrupted code and you happen to be playing it. And now you're infected by it. In the next generation of FNAF, you, or at least your body with William Afton's code in your head, is the new killer. And so on and so forth until we finally get to FNAF in space. But hey, that's just
I could see that happening. It's just like, you know, it infects so many people that eventually hits an astronaut, and then, you know, Freddy goes to space. That'd be interesting.
There is no possible way that that's meant to be a coincidence. There's also this random appearance of Shadow Freddy, which I found in my playthrough, which again seems like an odd little detail that's important to account for in the Pizza Party minigame. And the fact that Glitch Trap has 3 toes, just like the footprints that are outside of FNAF 6's house window. There is a lot more here in this game, but I honestly just need more time to think it all through. Rest assured, though, I'll be back.
I always come back.
And that, my friends, is why you should subscribe. And
Wait, so
ring
is the
bell
Glitch
to
Trap the
make sure
same
you're notified
as
of all our
Spring
new
Trap?
uploads, because you can bet I'm
No,
not
it's like a
done with
different
this new game
entity.
just yet. There is just
But
so
it's
much to
like the
unlock.
spirit of Spring
And
Trap
just as a
reborn
reminder,
into the video
we
game,
upload
right?
new theories every Saturday or Sunday.
At least I
Been doing
think
it for
so.
years now, so please support the channel. Now, if you'll excuse me, I do really gotta figure out this Jeremy stuff. It's really bothering me. There's something here. There's something here. It's the linchpin in everything that came before.
Okay, good. I'm trying to log into something right now and I can't get it.
The books
For some reason,
offer
'cause the internet is
a
just
closer
bad.
look at Henry and William Afton, how their partnership flourished early on, and how their view of the animatronics evolved over time. Thoughtful fans might want to give these sections a closer look to determine how they impact the story of the games as well. Right
Now I
there,
get it, bruh. Oh my
clear
gosh.
and crystal. For years, I've been trying to piece together the story of these games, right? But one thing has always served as a major sticking point, and that thing has been these books. Now, admittedly, these books entered the series at a tough time. FNAF 4 had released a few months prior, the game that, to this day, serves as the single biggest point of frustration for anyone trying to piece together the lore. Scott always trolls us. See also the repeated use of the name Jeremy. But this one game was just too much. It was a game that played with so many different ideas. It played with dreams and dates and bites and balloon boys and new characters and new toys, kids that looked like established characters. I mean, what was real? What wasn't? No one had any idea, and still to this day, we are at a loss about what this game means for the entire franchise as a whole. And then, shortly after that, FNAF World would enter the picture, and well, we all know how well that one went. So, needless to say,
Why did he pull it from
since
Steam
the
though? That's so
power of
cringe. I wanted to play it.
and
I got to play
sandwiched
it.
in between it all was the Silver Eyes, the start of the novels, a story set in the FNAF universe, but not really? Question mark? Scott Cawthon, when the books first came out, tried to make it clear what role these played in the greater story, but I don't know if it helped things. Here's his quote. "The truth is that after a while, lore can become so dense that there isn't any room for a story anymore. Another truth is that what makes for a good game doesn't necessarily make for a good book. Sometimes a timeline gets so full that the only way to tell a real story is have that story set in a different timeline, an alternate universe, a different location, or perhaps from a vantage point that isn't entirely what it appears to be. It's an interesting quote. True to Scott's style, it doesn't give anything away. I mean, everyone immediately latched onto this idea that the books were somehow a separate and alternate universe. But if you come back and read that quote again, like I just did here for the first time in years writing this script, it's actually only one of the possibilities that he raised. In fact, now that all three of the books have come out and completed the main story arc, we actually know what they really were. It was that last thing, a vantage point that wasn't entirely what it appeared to be. Now, spoiler alert for the books, but basically at the end of this one, the grand finale, Fourth Closet, it's revealed that our main character, Charlie, is an animatronic recreation of a dead girl. That the brilliant roboticist Henry, co-founder of Freddy's, had a daughter named Charlotte, who was kidnapped and killed by his partner, William Afton, at the age of 3. And that out of his grief, he rebuilt her. And that the character that we've been following for all three of these books isn't actually a human being, but just a glorified animatronic that grows older with time. Now, it sounds really weird, but here, let me explain. So, the 4 closets, what that's in reference to, basically, Henry created 4 versions of that robot, each one meant to simulate a different life stage that she would never get to experience. Toddler, tween, teen, adult. Thus allowing this robot child to grow up over time, infusing each one of those robots with fabricated memories of a childhood he created using a camera and tripod. And if you think that sounds weird, then you haven't finished reading this book, my friends, because this book jumps so many sharks. But that is nothing compared to what this book does to the animatronic baby that we all know and love. Baby, you know, the clown girl. Well, in the books, she's actually the perfect 4th adult version of Charlotte, but she's also the robot that still, like we see in the games, devours William Afton's daughter Elizabeth and then goes on to get possessed by her. So this one robot is simultaneously Elizabeth's soul inside of Charlie's adult body, but in addition to dancing and singing and extruding out ice cream, she also has the ability to switch between looking like a passable human, so much so that a character in here actually gets aroused by her. No joke. And also expanding somehow into a giant clown-shaped robot, the one that we all know and love. She does this by using a combination of needles with little balls on the end as well as sound illusion discs. I mean, how ridiculous is this, right? It's a good thing nothing that stupid appears in the games. Yep, they're in the games, aren't they? They are, actually. If you look at Baby's design,
That was like the biggest, that was like the biggest like mic drop that Scott could have done. That Scott did do.
With the little balls on the end, and yeah, even the weirdo sound illusion discs. You might see where I'm going with this, right? Well, many hardcore fans want to dismiss the books and treat them as a separate entity, wall them off entirely from what's going on in the games. You just can't. This book right here, Silver Eyes, is what allowed me to know that Purple Guy's name was going to be revealed as William Afton before Sister Location actually revealed that to be the case.
Those aren't the design choices we were curious about, Mr. Afton.
Yeah! Nailed it already! These are the things that confirm that Susie and Fritz were missing children's incident victims before it appeared in Fnaf 6. The 4th closet explained what Candy Cadet's stories were all about. 5 animatronics, 5 souls, all melted down into one entity. But because my theories based on the books tended to frustrate hardcore community members, I backed off of using them. But here we are now, me sitting on the couch reading this. The Freddy Files Updated Edition, which, in addition to including more fan art than a typical game theory episode, also has that quote that I mentioned from earlier. Here on page 222, second to last page in the book, thoughtful fans might want to give these sections about Henry and William a closer look to determine how they impact the story of the games as well. It's no denying it now, friends. These things, right over here, these 3, they're important. They are here to stay. So, for today's theory, I threw away everything. All our assumptions, all the things that I thought we had solved from the games. And I took a fresh, clean look at this franchise, this time starting from the perspective of the books. And that brought me down an insane thought train. Now, I don't necessarily think that today's theory is right. I definitely think that there are plenty of holes in it, but I also don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for the story that Scott is trying to tell. It's a theory that's worth chewing on, because it simultaneously overturns a lot of the assumptions that we've made about this series, while also filling in a lot of logical holes in the timeline of events. This is a big one, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Big like what we missed in Fnaf 4, kind of big. Here's my theory for you today. Mustard Man. You know, orange guy from Fnaf 6. I'm gonna say he's Henry, original creator of the animatronics, co-owner of Fredbear's Family Diner. That would make this Henry's house. In turn, that would thereby make Fnaf 4 his house as well. And if that's his house, then this is Henry's son, and this is Henry's other son. That's right, Crying Child isn't any member of the Afton family. He is Henry's son. And then that would make this and this Henry's daughter. And therefore, this then would be Henry's daughter's empty room. Now, hold on. I am sure there are plenty of you hardcore FNAFers out there who are ready to tear this huge list apart. This is clearly the Afton household. We have established this time and time again since the release of Sister Location, but stay with me. Sit back, relax. Who am I kidding? Pull out your pen and paper, start taking notes for your angry rage comment down below. This is a FNAF theory unlike anything we've ever talked about, so
Let's just jump into it.
So I already told you the big reveal at the end of the fourth closet, that our protagonist Charlie is a robot built in the image of Henry's dead daughter. But there is one last twist here. On the very last page of the book, we go to visit Charlie's grave, the real Charlie, the child who was kidnapped and killed at an early age. It's a grave that ends up high on a hill under a lone tree, similar to a very familiar scene that we see in the games at the end of Fnaf 6, the gravestone ending. And on it, we're told the following words were etched into the stone. Beloved daughter, Charlotte Emily, 1980 to 1983. First off, her last name is Emily? I mean, there's no other name written here, so that isn't her middle name. So Henry's last name is Emily? We're talking about the Emily family household? It's just weird. I mean, this is a book series filled with animatronics that are possessed by human children and metallic soul glue, but Emily as your last name? That has to be the single largest stretch of imagination out there. And no offense to anyone with Emily as their actual last name. I know it's a real thing. I'm just over-exaggerating my rage for comedic effect. But the important thing here is the date, right? Born in 1980, died in 1983. 83. Should sound familiar, right? Well, why does it matter? Fnaf 4. Fnaf 4, a game that ends with someone getting themselves bitten, is not depicting the bite of 87 like we all assumed when we first saw that scene, but instead is a game that is set in the year 1983. It frustrated everyone. I mean, why would you choose to do that, Scott? It made no sense for the story that we had become familiar with by that point in the series. It made no sense until today. We know that the gravestone is real. We know that Henry truly has a daughter who dies and goes on to become the puppet in the games. So what if that death took place in 1983 like we see in the book? Opens up a lot of possibilities. You see, the other thing that never quite gets explained is this empty girls' room that we're allowed to explore throughout Fnaf 4's minigame. Clearly, there's a reason it's here, but we never get a clue as to why or who that room could belong to. This, in turn, led all us Fnaf theorists to speculate wildly about the owner of this room. Anyone with 2 X chromosomes was up for debate. This pigtail girl, and that was it. Honestly, because she was literally the only girl that was introduced into the series at this point. Later, when Sister Location came out, we got ourselves a second girl, and everyone celebrated. It was Afton's daughter, Elizabeth, so that room had to be hers, right? I mean, the game was even alluding to it being hers because it was the Sister Location. But let's stop for a minute and question all of those assumptions, because that's what they are, really. There's not a whole lot of proof here. What if that girl's room in Fnaf 4 belonged to Charlie? Charlotte, Henry's daughter, who dies in 1983. I mean, the room is empty after all. And we're not seeing a whole heck of a lot of girls wandering around the playground area. And the year certainly matches the year of the disappearance and death from the books. Could that girl's room in FNAF 4 actually be Charlotte Emily's room? Could this whole house from FNAF 4 actually be the Henry Emily household? Consider this. In the second novel, The Twisted Ones, a climactic final battle happens in an underground animatronic facility. Sounds a bit like our sister location. When our heroes emerge to the surface, they find themselves in the ruins of a familiar house. Here's the quote. "Don't you see where we are?" Charlie whispered. "John, it's my dad's house. It's the room we found." The underground facility isn't under William Afton's house. Instead, in the books, it's hidden under Henry's house. And now, what do we see in the games? A hidden facility buried directly under the FNAF 4 house. A house that we've been assuming up until this point to be Afton's house. But it's starting to look more and more like it might be Henry's. And that's not all. Let's take a minute to flash back to FNAF 6, shall we? Now, overall, I feel like we've done a pretty darn good job of wrapping up this game's loose ends. We know all the names on the different gravestones. We know what Candy Cadet is rambling on about. We know that Fruity Maze girl here is Susie, who gets lured away and stuffed into Chica. Heck, we even know that the game itself, this building, could be the potential box where the pieces all come together and eventually get burned away. But the one thing that we don't know is the answer to Midnight Motorist, a minigame that, true to form, was the one moment in every FNAF game where everyone collectively looks at the screen and then slams their head on the desk. What? There's an orange guy now? Who the heck is the kid? Where did he go? Why is his window broken? Why are there footprints outside of the window? What is going on? I mean, we have smoothed over so much of this franchise, and I feel so confident about so much of this lore, and that game, that one little mini game is the one that just like niggles the back of my mind. If I could ask Scott Kaufman,
It does what to you about the back of your mind, Matt Pass? The frick?
This is the one that I'd want him to explain. No joke. I don't care about anything else. This is the one that I feel so befuddled on. Why I'm so determined to solve it, and why I'm doing today's theory. Because in the past, I've felt fairly confident saying that the mustard man here is William Afton, because he drives a purple car and he's driving away from the scene where the puppet girl died. But now, I'm not so sure. It always bothered me, and literally everyone else, that a guy who has been associated with one color, the color purple, for the entirety of this franchise is suddenly orange. I tried to dismiss it as Scott pulling a Scott, but you know, that's not the most satisfying answer. It doesn't feel conclusive, you know? And more importantly, those footprints outside of the window. I mean, why are they there? Either an animatronic went to meet this boy outside of his window, but that seems unlikely based on how we know these animatronics behave, or it was someone in a costume showing up to lure the boy out of his room. That one definitely seems like the more likely solution, but the only person in the entirety of this franchise who would do something like that is big ol' Willie A. And why would he do something like that to his own kid in his own house and then get mad about it? Things just don't add up cleanly. It's a question that really started to bother me when I was playing FNAF VR Help Wanted. Glitch Trap is clearly modeled after the first suit ever used by William Afton. You can tell based on his stitching. This is a hand-sewn bodysuit rather than any sort of animatronic suit that we would see later in the series. This also coincides with the timing of the Midnight Motorist cutscene, which shows the birth of the puppet, one of the first major deaths of the entire FNAF story. Glitch Trap's suit also very distinctly has 3 toes, just like the footprints outside of the boy's window. Now, as we know, Scott Cawthon likes to clarify things in his next game. And if there was one huge question mark left from before, that Midnight Motorist minigame was it. So we have ourselves a suit that would have been in use around the time of the minigame, as well as a matching foot pattern to the design that we see in the minigame. Heck, we even have ourselves a potential reference to it from Ultimate Custom Night and the Toy Chica cutscenes.
He'll be mine by the end of the day. I just know it.
I hate that. I hate this crap.
That should be enough. And if he doesn't show up, I'll just go to his house. And if he doesn't open the door, I'll just find a window.
And here's where everything starts coming together. Let's assume that William Afton, in his Glitch Trap suit with its 3 toes, is the one who's standing outside of that window, outside of Henry's house. He lures the crying child out. now Henry's son, to bring him back to the place that he loves more than anywhere else in the world, Fredbear's Family Diner. But we know that this is also the night where William takes his first victim, Charlotte, who's killed outside of the diner. This would explain why in FNAF 6, the crying child would actively run to Fredbear's against his father's will, but later, come FNAF 4, he would be terrified of stepping foot there. Remember what you saw and all that, as psychic friend Fredbear reminds him constantly. He saw the murder happen that night. That is what we're seeing in that FNAF 6 minigame. Meanwhile, we have ourselves the Mustard Man, who we're assuming is going to be Henry. He has a kid who has not only run away on multiple occasions, but is so determined to do so that he's willing to break through his own window to get there. So, how do you keep him safe at home? Well, you lock him in his room, just like we see happen in FNAF 4. But maybe locking him in his room isn't enough. Maybe you also have a series of security cameras hidden around the room. Heck, hidden around your house, hiding a security camera inside the Fredbear plushie that he takes everywhere, to keep your son safe, to keep track of where he is at any given point in time. Heck, maybe you could go so far as to design sound illusion discs to make him scared of the animatronics that he's seeing. His once beloved animatronic friends now terrifying to him, causing nightmarish hallucinations of the characters, just like the discs that we see hidden inside of Funtime Freddy's chest and sister location. The same discs that Henry is confirmed to have created in the books. These two, right here, they play a huge role in these two books. Though most of them in the books bear Afton's name, they were originally created by Henry in an attempt to warp the world around him, to hide from the grief that he felt after the loss of his child. Discs that, wouldn't you know it, Afton hides inside the Funtime robots, just like we see in the games. But as we see in FNAF 4, it isn't enough. The crying child still winds up at Freddy's, he still gets himself bitten, and he dies. With that iconic line in yellow, "I will put you back together." Now, remember that quote I keep going back to in this book right here, second to last page? Thoughtful fans might want to revisit sections of how Henry and Afton's view of the robots change over time in order to determine how they impact the story of the games. Well, Henry in the books uses the robots to bring his daughter back to life. He rebuilds her. He puts her, quite literally, back together. He used the robots to try and heal his grief. I mean, if anyone in this series is gonna say a line like, "I will put you back together," it's Henry. Heck, maybe Mustard Man is the color that he is in order to better match the color of his FNAF 4 text. "I will put you back together" in yellow. And yeah, sure, it's yellow and not orange, but guess what? Purple Guy was pink in his first outing. As the series has gotten darker, so too has the color palette. But seriously, there are two colors that are relatively similar. Maybe there's a connection there. And if the crying child is indeed Michael, as I've talked about a lot in past theories, Henry literally rebuilding his lost son, like he does his lost daughter in the books, explains all of the weirdness of Mike's behavior throughout the series. How he's able to survive being
Would that mean Gregory is like
how he doesn't
a robot of the crying
cooking up
child?
Mom's robot spaghetti, how he's only able to die by fire.
I just want to imagine like what if we just gave MatPat like
Worth noting that at no point
security
in the
breach
series is
like in
Michael ever
2020.
identified as
That'll be crazy. That'd be funny.
Now, it seems like Mike
Like, mind blown.
is referring to William Afton as father,
Father, it's me, Michael.
and him saying,
I'm going to come find you.
as Springtrap appears, definitely makes it seem like he's going out and looking for William, but that may just be another Scott misdirect. It's open to interpretation. I mean, this scene alone still has people convinced that Springtrap is Mike trapped inside of the suit. Mike Trap, even though I feel like it's pretty well established at this point that it's William Afton in there. It's still Will Trap. But there are people who are vehemently determined that Mike Trap is the reality of the canon of this series. Regardless of the whole Michael stuff, William Afton in these books is all about achieving immortality through the robots. He's interested in the science of it all. He wants to study the original Fnaf gang and replicate the living metal that resulted from their deaths. That's why we see him tearing apart the robots in Fnaf 3's minigames. He wants access to their metal. He wants to harvest it to run experiments. He wants to melt down those living endoskeletons so he can harness the possessed metal to create the Funtime animatronics. I mean, that is the whole point of Candy Cadet's stories in FNAF 6. 5 things melted down to create one thing, and it's exactly what we see happen as a huge plot point in the final book. Henry, on the other hand, is the emotional one. He's a creator who gets too invested in his own work. He's a bit of a neglectful father while he's alive, but he's devastated when he loses his daughter, turning to the one and only thing that he knows and understands to try and bring her back: robots. He goes to extreme lengths to use his robotic skills to try and bring her back to life, and he does it. He succeeds. He creates the most absurdly lifelike humanoid animatronics ever in science fiction, and they have to be to do some of the stuff that you see happen in these books because it is absurd. But if we are truly meant to apply the themes of these books to the games, then this isn't the Afton family household. It doesn't make sense. It's the Emily family household. It would explain the factory under the house. It would explain the empty girl's bedroom in FNAF 4. It would explain the 1983 date that we're presented with. It would say why Mustard Man is yellow, why there are footprints outside the window, why the crying child is suddenly scared of Freddy's, and it would even go so far as to explain the line, "I will put you back together." I mean, are there holes to this thing? Absolutely. Are there things that are difficult to explain? Are you kidding me? This is FNAF. Gonna be true no matter this is William's house, Henry's house, or the frickin' White House. It's an extreme theory, but I think it's one that's worth considering because of its alignment with the books, and because of the lingering threads that it answers. Which is why today, I encourage you to discuss down below in the comments, discuss over on Reddit, and most importantly to remember that it's all just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching.
Well, game theory. Thanks for watching.
Ready to have your mind blown by FNAF yet again?
No.
Let's do a little trick, shall we? I'm in the process of currently downloading and installing brand new copies of each and every one of the FNAF games, so you all know that we're working with a blank slate here. But the games that we're specifically interested in are FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night, the free ones. Huzzah for not having to buy these games for literally like the 4th time. Let me just open up both of these on the computer to show you that we are working with absolutely clean and fresh copies of both these games. Open up FNAF World. The first time that we open this, we should get that cutscene of the 2 yellow beady eyes telling us that something has happened out in the world. There it is. We're just gonna wait here a second while that dramatically plays. We hit start, and you can see here, literally nothing on screen, right? We have slots 1, 2, and 3, all empty, no trophies along the bottom. And that's the important point here, right? Each time you beat the game, you get a different trophy along the bottom based on what ending you got. So notice 0 trophies, 0 endings, 0 gameplay. Okay, so we're gonna X out of that as well. Fantastic. Hopping on over to Ultimate Custom Night, there is no high scores unlocked. We have no power-ups that have been given to us. Our office is the default office. Nothing, right? No creepy cutscenes of Toy Chica in her skimpy school uniform. Nothing. We are clean to go. Nada. Now, let me set the scene for you, right? If you think back to the release of Ultimate Custom Night, we were all really excited to see who would be included in this mega list of who's who in the FNAF universe. This big final game to celebrate the ending of the series, burning things to the ground at the end of FNAF 6. Some of the inclusions were obvious, right? Like the 70+ versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Springtrap, Golden Freddy, and the Puppet, right? They're in practically every game. They're super important to the lore of the games. No big surprises there. But then, when the roster kept expanding, you got to some weird inclusions, right? You got yourself Music Man over here. Why? El Chip, which is basically just a glorified reference to like one of his failed games before Five Nights at Freddy's. Strange, sapient pile of garbage over here. Like, not people that you would immediately think of as being included in the like must-have list of characters in this franchise. But of them all, there was one inclusion that felt the strangest of all to me. This one right here. Old Man Consequences from Fnaf World. A character who, if you're not super familiar with that particular game, is your punishment for going too deep into the code of the game. You see, Fnaf World is a video game that's aware that it's a game, right? And throughout the adventure, you repeatedly have to dive into these glitches to unlock new parts of the world. But you're repeatedly warned against going more than 3 layers deep into those glitches, otherwise you're going to be trapped there forever. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happens if you don't heed the warnings. You wind up at Old Man Consequences Lake, trapped. What makes it so weird to see him here, though, in Ultimate Custom Night, is that Fnaf World is a game that Scott has largely disowned. He's embarrassed of it, and it's a game that's ultimately been dismissed by the fan base as non-canon, in part because of those reasons, but also in part because it seems more closely tied to the book lore than it is to the game lore. And yet, here he is. Old Man Consequences in Ultimate Custom Night, alongside characters that are definitely canonical in a game that is also canonical, right? It has the canonical ending of William Afton suffering eternal torment at the hands of Golden Freddy. It's almost like Scott Cawthon is telling us that Old Man Consequences is implicitly canonical. He's canonical by association. So, why do I bring all this up? Well, there's an Easter egg in Custom Night that you've probably seen back when people were playing that game, right? You set Old Man Consequences to a difficulty level of 1, and you start your night. You're gonna turn off the fan, and here we sit. There's no one here to attack us outside of Old Man Consequences, so hopefully he shows up. Oh, and here's Dee Dee, who has, by proxy of doing this, ruined our opportunity to unlock this Easter egg, so we're going to restart. Please Alt for this game. We're gonna try again. Reset the ventilation, thank you. Oh, there is. Boom. Good. So now, here we go, right? We're falling, quote unquote, falling through the source code of the game. We wind up here. This is Old Man Consequences Lake, right? You may have seen this Easter egg during people's gameplays, but here we go. We go to Old Man Consequences over here, and he gives us his line. Come and sit with me a while. Leave the demon to his demons. Rest your soul. There's nothing else. We concluded in one of our past theories about Ultimate Custom Night that this is Old Man Consequences talking to the vengeful spirit that exists inside Golden Freddy, trying to tell him, hey dude, chill out, move on with your afterlife. Just let William Afton suffer on his own. Because if you listen to the audio that's playing in the background of this scene, you can definitely hear him suffering. Well, it's either his tormented screams or, you know, Scott Cawthon shouting through a fan. Now, most people seeing this Easter egg would be like, well, now what do? There's nothing else. I guess I gotta restart the game. Alt F4. And already this would be a really cool, really elaborate Easter egg. However, for those of us who have played through and know Fnaf World better than we probably should, we know that there is one final thing that you can do in this scene, right? You can move on over to the top of the lake and you can drown yourself. Now, in that game, when you did this, it would actually reveal a secret ending that is completely hidden from that game's texture files. It shows a person standing alongside 2 smaller figures in front of this flashing TV screen. It's a parent and their 2 kids, or at least that's as much as I can make of it, right? And sure enough, you can actually do the same thing here in Ultimate Custom Night, going into the lake and drowning yourself. Except here, it ultimately crashes the game. I'm going deep into the lake. Uh-oh, I'm trapped in the water. Oh no! It's like quicksand. It's not so much a lake as it is quicksand, but here we go. We're going down into the lake, deeper, 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 and it crashes the game, right? We're back to the home screen. No hidden ending or Easter egg there. But here's where things get crazy. Instead of me booting up Ultimate Custom Night again, we're gonna hop back over to that brand new, fresh, clean copy of Fnaf World that I showed you earlier. Here we go, Fnaf World. We have not played this game whatsoever, and we hit start. Wouldn't you know it? Without playing a second of this game, look what suddenly appeared on our menu screen. A trophy that you unlock in Fnaf World by visiting Old Man Consequences Lake. In other words, these 2 games, but more importantly, in the lore of this franchise, these 2 worlds are connected. Somehow. But what does all this mean? That, my friends, is our episode for today.
That is a 7-minute intro. That is wild. I went to go get food, then come back, and the 7-minute intro. That's wild.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the channel where it's always April, considering the number of Easter egg hunts we go on. So, that connection between Fnaf World and Ultimate Custom Night was originally discovered by Reddit user Roxas Lucario, and it ultimately hinges on an info file that collects variable information from across the various games. For instance, the first time you start up Fnaf World, you're presented with an opening cutscene.
Something went very wrong. That's why I'm here. I will put you back together.
Great, awesome. Go to the info page after seeing that creepy opening cutscene, and suddenly the trigger first is activated, presumably telling the game that you've seen that scene once before, so for all subsequent playthroughs, you don't have to see it again. That's how these sorts of variables work. But what's weird, though, is that the trigger for this drowned ending and unlocking the trophy is titled Beat Game 4, which might just mean it's the 4th ending of Fnaf World, fine, but why then would Scott use that exact same variable name in Ultimate Custom Night? It's not like there's multiple endings in that game, and it's not like Ultimate Custom Night is the 4th game in the franchise. Him using that exact same variable name suggests that the connection between the two was very much intentional, and that, my friends, is just scratching the surface. Because this small but very important Easter egg starts laying the groundwork for where this series is ultimately headed moving forward. Where FNAF VR clearly left off, and where the new FNAF AR game, Special Delivery, releasing this October, is taking us next. Oh yeah, didn't you know? There's a new FNAF AR game and it's right around the corner. There's a trailer for it and everything. Because my torment is year-round and unceasing. Looks like we're gonna end up playing hide and seek with a bunch of animatronics, but more on that one in a minute. FNAF World was a game that was largely ignored by us theorists because, well, look at it.
You won't get tired of my voice, will you?
I'm not sure what came over you. But in all seriousness, for all the memes lol this franchise has, it's never been particularly meta. The lore, on the whole, was its own self-contained story within this fictional universe. The only times things got truly meta was in FNAF World, which sure helped us to predict the appearance of Baby and Henry into the mainline games, but it was also the game where Scott Cawthon literally appears as the final boss, complaining about how sick he was of pumping out new games for our insatiable appetite for animatronic death. Scott, you're our mama bird, my friend. Puke that sweet, sweet lore down into my gullet. But you can see why most of us would take this as a joke, right? Scott isn't a character in the FNAF universe, so it has to be just another game for the lols. Except now, Scott is a character in the games. As of FNAF VR, it's revealed to us that Scott, since the beginning, has played a critical role in the lore of the FNAF universe.
We know that Fazbear Entertainment has developed something of a bad reputation over the last few decades, and while it's true that some stories associated with our name were loosely based on actual events, the majority of them were total fabrications from the mind of a complete lunatic. Lawsuits pending.
And if that wasn't explicit enough, the secret tapes hidden throughout the game make it even clearer.
They lied to us. They lied to all of us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer who supposedly made up a bunch of crazy stories that tarnished the brand.
Don't have to tell me twice, that rogue indie developer is obviously Scott. That's just where it begins, because FNAF World was trying to tell us something else about where this franchise was headed. Video games crossing into the real world and vice versa. You see, FNAF World is a lot of things. A lot of things. But its main plot revolves around the aftermath of FNAF 4. We're told when we first boot up the game that something has happened out there in the real world, and it's having an effect in here, the sanctuary, the world of this particular game. From there, the rest of the game features a main quest that's completely hidden. You could go through this entire game and never come across the actual real plot of this thing. The only way that you would know about this is by accidentally lingering on the first dialogue boxes of the game, which in turn releases glitched 8-bit Fredbear. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who we gonna call? Glitched 8-bit Fredbear. This, in turn, unlocks separate missions to find clocks, and it's here that we find our first instance of video game to real-life crossover. You see, each clock is a minigame that connects back to FNAF 3 and all the individual steps necessary to unlock the Happiest Day cutscene. That game's good and canonical ending. If you think way back to that game, it always bothered me that punching random blocks on a wall or double-clicking a random poster in your real-life security office was somehow allowing us to put the spirits of the dead children to rest. But FNAF World gave us an explanation even though we ignored it back at the time. FNAF World, the game world, or more accurately, the spirits that are trapped existing in that game's code, were able to push out and affect changes IRL through those clock minigames. That's how you get these kind of video gamey moments in what is otherwise a realistic, albeit haunted setting. Now, why is any of this important? Why are we talking about it now so many years after these games were first released? Well, because it's only starting to matter now. It's exactly what we saw happen at the end of FNAF VR Help Wanted. That game established sentient code that was looking to escape from its video game prison.
It was just junk. Circuit boards and things like that. Look pretty old. Somehow, though, there was usable code on some of it. It seemed to take hold by itself. Things started changing.
What I'm saying here is that in the official lore of this series, official lore that is apparently dating back further than we would have expected, computer code is somehow able to store the minds or spirits or whatever of these characters and eventually rebirth them out into the real world if the right steps are taken. See also Petscop. And in FNAF VR, we see an instance of this happening. William Afton, who was trapped in the circuit boards, was released into the code of this new game, Help Wanted, where he then took the form of Glitch Trap until finally, through us playing the game and collecting the tapes and putting the pieces back together, was able to escape again. But this time, he was able to escape not just from circuit boards, but out into the real world. All of it, all of this goes back to the story that FNAF World was trying to tell us years ago. The story that we all didn't take seriously because the final boss was literally an impervious rainbow.
Are you kidding me?
Come on!
What the... What?
I'm only just realizing it now, but Help Wanted is actually a cute and really brilliant name. I mean, we all thought it was help in terms of like a want ad, right? Help as a video game tester, which is the core premise of the game, but it's also Help Wanted. Glitch Trap wanted, heck, he needed our help in order to escape, so well done, Scott, good name. Just like Pizzeria Simulator riffs on the idea of simulator games, but really it's an empty box waiting as a trap to catch the final animatronics and burn them alive, or how Sister Location is all about a separate but related robotics business, but also about a key character's sister, maybe, question mark. Well done, Scott, well done. Slow clap. Now, you might be thinking, wow, malicious code, people trapped in video games? This sounds nothing like the original story that started off this whole franchise. And yeah, that's entirely the point. The old story of Five Nights at Freddy's was, at least in part, a complete lie.
They lied to us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer. But that's not true at all. Fazbear Entertainment hired the game developer. Those indie games were designed to conceal and make light of what happened. This isn't just an attempt to rebrand. It's an elaborate cover-up.
Let me rephrase what we just heard. Scott is one of the bad guys. Based on the lore in Help Wanted, he was hired on by Fazbear Entertainment to create the FNAF games, give us the spooky ghost stories that exist within them, and in turn distract us from the real truth. Distract us away from what Fazbear's goals really were. He was lying to us. If FNAF VR's tapes are to be believed, pretty much everything we know from the first 3, at least, but maybe even 4, 5, heck 6 games could all be thrown out as complete fabrications created by Scott Cawthon for the sole reason because he was paid off by Fazbear Entertainment. This thing, Glitch Trap, might not even be a recreation of someone named William Afton. Heck, William Afton might not even exist. Though, to be honest, he probably does since he's mentioned by name at the beginning of FNAF Sister Location, and FNAF VR seems to replicate his original crimes pretty darn closely. So I'm gonna assume that some of that is actually true. The long story short here is that FNAF VR, in making Scott part of the Fazbear cover-up, is the franchise's way of rebooting the story for the next generation, telling us that with FNAF VR, we're starting an entirely new lore. In disowning Scott's story as lies, it's explicitly telling us that everything we've known up to this point is wrong. It's a distraction. Instead, the real story, the story that's going to be told to us via the next generation of Five Nights at Freddy's games, is carrying forward the core themes and ideas that were first introduced to us back in FNAF World, a story of video games, code, all coming to life and crossing over into the real world. And funny enough, if we look back to FNAF World, it was trying to tell us the truth about this theme the entire time. As 8-Bit Glitch Bear tells us in that game, don't be deceived by the one pulling the strings. It's why Scott is technically the final boss of the game, but the true ending, the clock ending that unlocks the key Easter eggs from FNAF 3, it has nothing to do with him at all. It's entirely disconnected from why Scott is there. Again, the indie developer known as Scott Cawthon within the FNAF lore is trying to distract us away from the truth of what we should be doing in these games. And if you think I'm reading too much into this, think again. Scott is trying to clue us back into the importance of FNAF World. As many of you know, Scott has his website, scottgames.com, where there's always some new teaser image and stuff hidden in the source code. And on there right now is a really cool teaser for the next FNAF game coming out in 2020. Clearly, by looking at it, it's a FNAF Stranger Things crossover, considering the 1980s era neon-themed mall straight out of season 3 of that show. But what's a little less well known, though, is Scott's second site, FNAFworld.com, which has been dormant for a really long time. Dormant, at least until a month ago. You see, it was updated to have a big old number 58 smack dab in the middle of it, and when you brighten things up, because you always brighten things up when you're given something by Scott Cawthon, you see a bunch of funny reviews appear for whatever this new game is going to end up being. Now, the number 58 might seem like it's completely random, right? A weird, mysterious number, but it's actually not. It all goes back to, you guessed it, FNAF World. In that game, there's a playable demo for the latest unreleased FNAF game, Freddy in Space. That game's number? Installment number 57. Meaning that Scott's next project, or at least one of his next projects coming out in a few months, is going to be another wacky minigame with lore connections potentially hidden inside of it. In fact, if FNAF 57 Freddy in Space is to be believed, as you play through it in FNAF World, the next installment is going to be titled Poopits in Space, which sounds completely dumb, but you saw those hidden reviews. They were not super positive about whatever FNAF 58 is shaping up to be. And heck, you don't even have to take it from me. It is coming straight from Scott's own disembodied head floating in a jar from that game. Like I said, FNAF World is weird. And we are still not done. The idea of games and code, digital horrors crossing over into the real world is becoming more explicit in his other new game that he's working on. The one that we know is releasing this October. FNAF Special Delivery, an augmented reality title that, based on the trailer and the title, will have animatronics being dropped off into your house. Sure, the idea of using your phone to see the animatronics roaming around your home might just seem like a fun, quirky new way to play these sorts of games, but from a lore standpoint, you wouldn't be surprised if what this is actually doing is forwarding the core themes of the new direction for the story of these games. Deadly characters starting off as harmless pieces of code and then escaping out into the real world through your device. It's happened with Glitch Trap. By the nature of augmented reality, it's literally happening again in this game. Any way you slice it, the lines between reality and fiction are getting blurrier. And it's Scott and FNAF World, of all things, that are serving as the bridge linking those two worlds. It all started coming to a head with FNAF VR, but starting this October, don't be surprised if this franchise, as we know it, really starts to change. But hey, that's just a theory.
That's just a theory.
Game theory.
A game theory.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks
You
for
need to put up the
watching.
subscribe button so you can click it and join the army of 12 million other loyal theorists out there just like you. Bet you can't click it and finish writing a comment about your favorite animatronic within 5 seconds of me counting. 5, 4, 3, 2, and heck, if you're itching to see more reality-bending storytelling like in FNAF World, well then check out our ongoing analysis of Petscop, the online horror video game web series. The finale of this mystery just aired. I'm actually working on my analysis of it right now, and you can be all caught up for when those final episodes air. Oh, I forgot to say one, didn't I? Look, you did it! Congratulations! Now my work is complete. I fade away into the darkness for yet another week. I'll see you next time for Ready for a huge special announcement? Me, Markiplier, Dawko, the kings of Five Nights at Freddy's, together in one room against a brand new Fnaf game with thousands of dollars at stake, live. Do I have your attention? Great! Because it's happening right here on the channel December 3rd. Mark your calendars, you're not going to want to miss this. But why are we doing this, you might ask? Well, every year Steph and I try to do at least one major charity event for a cause that affects all of us here in the theorist community. And last year, with your help, we donated over $200,000, all dedicated to researching better treatments for depression and other mental illnesses. And this year, we're taking on cancer. Specifically childhood cancer, because I think all of us have at least at some point known or lost someone to cancer. And it's without a doubt the scariest diagnosis that a family could possibly receive. And it's especially true now for Steph and I as we have our own kid. Which is why we're especially
Oh, that's right. His kid was born around this
St.
time.
Jude Children's
That is
Research
wild.
Hospital, which, if you haven't heard of this incredible organization, is a hospital dedicated to treating children from around the world who've all been diagnosed with cancer and other life-threatening diseases. I'm going to be 33 years old, and I just learned this word. And to think that, like, there's a kid who's 10 years old and wrote this. Heparin? I don't know. Because I don't have to know. Just puts it in perspective about how lucky you are.
MatPat is 36.
But what's truly remarkable about St. Jude is
What the
not only are
frick?
they helping children fight against the scariest diagnosis that you could possibly receive, but no one who's a patient there ever has to pay a single cent for their treatment. That is hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical treatment all happening for free. And their good work doesn't just stop at helping individuals.
Bro, I did not know MatPat was 36. I thought he was like 20 something, bro. That is wild. He's 36.
Researching new ways to stop cancer, to kill it dead, and then spreading that knowledge.
Wasn't cancer like solved like a while ago, and then like they just kind of like banished that solution because no money?
Faster. Most other organizations would hide that sort of information. They would guard it and keep it for themselves so that they could make a lot of money off of it. But here's St. Jude, right? Who are all about this idea of working together to find a way to kill cancer once and for all. One child treated at St. Jude literally translates to 1,000 more that are treated in hospitals around the world. Long story short, St. Jude is just an incredible organization, which is why throughout the rest of November, we'll be helping to raise money for all the good work that they do, with the big event being held on December 3rd. That's the marathon live stream event in their honor. And that's not just us. That's the Try Guys.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
It's
A live stream on December 3rd, 2020.
And Gerard and Kyle Hill, Nate Wants to Battle, Something Else YT, and so many more. It's crazy. All of these people united together to help support an organization that's trying to kill cancer. And that live stream is going to include giveaways and prizes for all you guys, donation incentives, and get this, probably the most exciting thing of all, the big reveal of a brand new, never-before-seen Fnaf game that Scott Cawthon is making specifically for the event. That's not a joke. A true story, I actually emailed Scott because I know that he's a fan of St. Jude as a charity, and I'm like, hey, would you like to donate as a part of our live stream, or do you have something that we could potentially premiere on the live stream as, you know, just an incentive for people to watch? And he told me that he could do me one better, that he could create for us a game that apparently will have dollar amounts hidden throughout it, and that the more we find, the more he ends up donating to St. Jude. So, knowing that this is the game, I assembled the Fnaf Dream Team of Dawko and Markiplier to help me out, taking that money out of Scott's pockets and putting it in the hands of people who are working to cure kids and kill cancer. It's gonna be a crazy event, so please mark your calendars, December 3rd, 10 o'clock a.m. California time, and going literally all day here on this channel, on the Game Theorist channel. And if you do want to start donating now to this incredible cause, the link is right here on the video. Yeah.
Is it actually? No, it's not.
How to make Fnaf not scary? Well, guess what? You can help make cancer not scary by helping the campaign and donating either today or during that big live stream event. Now, enough with me on the couch. Let's get to the episode.
No one suspects anything.
Security breach was 3 years ago. That's crazy.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
No, this is from
Today,
before
it's
that.
time to meet a new villain because FNAF's next major killer has a face, a voice, a motive, and we even know their name. So today is actually going to be a big one, my friends. The official game may not be releasing until 2020, but we're already well on our way to understanding.
And then it got delayed for like several more years.
Just as long as Scott doesn't shred it, burn it, and mix in another 5 monochromatic characters with frontal lobes bit off dreaming on their deathbeds. You see, over the course of October, we saw the release of FNAF VR Help Wanted's Halloween DLC, The Curse of Dreadbear, which at this point is getting close to like the longest game title in history. And despite the game's repeated insistence that this little fall fest was purely for fun,
Keep in mind that this DLC pack is nothing more than a festive holiday-themed add-on, which has absolutely no hidden intent or purpose.
we all know that's a complete lie. One does not simply include casual references to 1983 in a Five Nights at Freddy's game. And when it comes to Easter eggs, I'm not just talking about 1 or 2 things here. Whether it was the FNAF 4 house perched high on a hill in the background, trick-or-treating at an animatronic-filled mansion, inching your way through FNAF 4's haunted hallways, or just taking a Disney ride that suddenly goes off the rails to revisit a familiar-looking pizzeria, Easter eggs were hidden in every pixel of this DLC. Here's a list of a few that were worth calling out but don't merit a full-fledged theory. First, the masks that you wear for the trick-or-treat minigame are most likely the real-world versions of the masks that we see the bullies wearing during the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 bite. This reinforces the idea that in the grand timeline of events, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was popular enough as a franchise by 1983 to have its own line of Halloween masks. In other words, it's more evidence to suggest that this location that we see in FNAF 4 isn't the first pizzeria. It's not the beginning of the timeline. Point number 2, when you win a minigame, you see posters randomly generated around the walls. The thing is, all of these posters have appeared in a previous game, FNAF 6 Pizzeria Simulator. They appear in the alleyways where the salvage animatronics can be found. Manwolf clown pictures referencing Baby, and Spookfest. What's particularly interesting, though, is that Spookfest one, which could in fact be referring to the exact fall festival that we're attending. That poster in particular always felt like a random addition to those alleyway scenes, and as we know, Scott don't do coincidences. It's also worth noting that I've seen one playthrough from the channel Johnny Blocks that had 3 clown pictures appear on the walls. After throwing a dart at each one, the barn suddenly switched over to rave mode. Black lights on for the party, becoming possessed by Golden Freddy. We can tell that as evidenced by the It's Me banner hanging over the top of the barn. Now, I can't confirm whether this is real because he's the only playthrough I've seen been able to do this, and also spawning 3 clown pictures randomly is just seemingly impossible odds. And also, it strikes me as weird because from a lore perspective, Golden Freddy at this point should be hanging out in the afterlife with our dearly departed William Afton. But still, it is something that's definitely worth calling out, and if any of you out there have a means of testing it, go forth and double check it. And lastly, during the game over screen, you see a giant dread bear looming over top of the hillside covered in gravestones. On top of the hill, you can make out what appears to be some sort of purple glitch. By hacking outside the bounds of the game, just like the channel Kuno Leo did, you can see that it's indeed a glitching gravestone, surrounded on all sides by 7 normal-looking gravestones. Now, 6 gravestones would seem to be a reference to Pizzeria Simulator's gravestone ending, symbolic of the 5 murdered children during the missing children's incident, as well as Charlie, the girl who dies and goes on to possess the puppet. In short, William Afton's 6 victims. But then, what's a 7th gravestone doing there? Well, in my estimation, that one would seem to belong to Michael Afton, his son, and his final and unintentional victim. Which would suggest that the glitching gravestone is William Afton's grave. It's got the purple color, it's got itself the glitch, which clearly ties it to Glitch Trap, but further cementing this is the texture that you see running along the grave, which, while hard to make out, clearly has rabbit ears. But it's the last and hardest to achieve Easter egg that I want to focus on today. The one that reveals our new killer and starts setting up the story that we'll be watching play out.
Yo, TV Anime Fun Time Foxy, thank you for following, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you for following. I really appreciate it. How you doing? Appreciate you stopping by.
And it's gonna be our job to
Greetings. Yo, what's going on? How you doing? Yeah, I've just been watching FNAF Game Theory for like the past 9 hours, I guess. Not the past 9 hours. Human friend or foe? I'm probably a friend, honestly. I'm more of a friend, honestly. I've spent about 9 hours so far watching Fnaf game theory, and I plan on going for the rest of the playlist, all the way to like the most recent ones. Currently number 30 out of. Think so loud? Yeah, I think so. We can try it. You can try it. See if it's there. I guess. I don't know. Okay, let me do this. Yeah, go for it. Don't worry, I have a bot in here that is not modded, so I don't think it can do anything. So if you see it, you can bully it. I don't care. Usually the people that go on my chat, they bully the bots that talk. You just linked Google. Oh, that's right. Test. Okay, it works. Yep.
This fifth key unlocks a cellar located at the middle of the maze, one that resembles our prize barn, except now it's all torn up, looking like it's been slowly laid to waste with time. But there's a sinister gift waiting for us on the table, a white bunny mask with a fleshy, almost bloody.
That's right. This is Vanny. Me too. I have encountered. Okay.
We calm down. Our character is suddenly
interesting.
There's more. Back in the prize counter, we suddenly have the option of wearing the mask again. Putting just the mask on doesn't do anything except obstruct your vision because masks suck. But if you put it on while holding Glitch Trap, suddenly someone, a woman, starts to speak.
Yes, I hear you. I know. No, there's no miscommunication. I understand. Yes, I have it.
I really wish I could have played these games, but they have a lot of money, so I can't really do that. What is this link? I'm gonna open it in this tab so I don't accidentally open something bad. To my past to enjoy.
She is clearly talking to William. Glitch Trap. The fact that this
I am confused. Did you make this or like what's going on here?
Represents her, and holding the rabbit, which represents him, seems to be all the proof that we would need. But now let's look at specifically
21 million views. Oh, you did make it. Oh wow. What the frick? Oh wow. Okay, hold on, wait. Let me pull it up here. I created my past in song format. Let me see, hold on. Can you see it? You can. Oh, it's a song, huh? Oof, I really hope there's nothing wrong in here, bruh. What's a mango as an anime girl, huh? How do you make this up? It took me ages to animate. Did you make the song as well, or just like the animation? Wow. I do make songs with many artists. Oh wow, that's cool. Very cool, man. See who I'm trying to kill? I don't know. It just looks like an anime dude to me. Is the foe. Okay. That makes sense. Named Afton. Oh, okay. I didn't know. It is wild. 21 million views. This video got 20 million views. Good retention too. Wow. What are they talking about? Wait a minute, what's this? Oh, it's like these weird little things. I've never seen these things before. Oh, you can't see them. I had a full malfunction. Now I can't want to attack, so I can meet my friend. So of how I want to attack, so I can meet my friend. Okay. Oh, wow, okay. I don't want to be messed with. Okay. You see why I'm trying to... Wait, hold on. You see why I am trying to help me and all friends. I don't want to be messed with. Yeah, that makes sense. Nice, very cool. Better than I can do, honestly. I have not animated anything. Damn, wait, let me see your channel. Let me see your channel. Animator. About 100,000 views. Bruh, you're wild, my guy. You're wild. So the channel for Stupefy. I don't know. I have no idea what Stupefy is. Very cool. Very cool. Great animation. Great great execution as well. That's right. Oh, let me pause. One load. Broski, damn. Nice, very cool. Let me get the playlist. Very cool. Let me get back to I do need to put on the game theory still, because I am still watching that as well. But very cool, bro. Hell yeah. But I have your stuff pulled up still on here. Let me see the link. Open new tab.
Much like a pizzeria's security guard who's planning to kidnap kids. Or, as I brought up in a previous theory, a game tester who's suddenly been...
You have Vine compilations, bruh.
Malware. Which leads us to the other lines about there being no miscommunication, being ready, and not letting him down.
Wait, I don't get it. What?
All seem to indicate that William senses hesitation.
I'm looking at it from right here.
About fulfilling on his plan. This is reinforced by the
dude, how are you getting... How are you getting millions of views? Wait, what? Oh yeah. How are you getting so many millions of views for? I mean, it's anime community, so. That is wild, though. Very cool. Very nice. Came here, you just came here to flex on me, bruh? That'd be funny.
But in this case, it seems
yeah.
like she's trying to please her master.
My model,
saying things like, I think
I updated my model the mangle. Can I
that
find it here?
Over
I'm looking at it on an alternate screen, so I can just get the game theory going. But
successful in what Tape Girl warned us about. That Fnaf VR
where's the
is
model?
A Trojan horse. It's carrying the virus that is William Afton. Now, whether that's him as code or AI or it's just his spirit being passed along isn't really important. What matters
can't really
is that
seem to find it.
The minds of its testers. It's why we hear the story of Jeremy throughout those Fnaf VR tapes. A man who went
I'm
crazy
not sure.
and ultimately sliced off his own face. He was probably starting to...
But I mean, I believe you though, so.
But tried his best to fight back in whatever way he could. That's also why every ending of that
very cool, bro. Very cool.
The fact that we need the green bunny to
so you got some Undertale stuff too. Nice.
Vague cutscenes at the end of the game are of him escaping. Because without the tapes, Glitch Trap is still disassembled in the game, and this dialogue of a brainwashed devotee isn't possible. But what we're also learning here is that while Glitch Trap is able to invade the mind,
why'd you stop posting?
He can't fully possess their body. He's limited to only being a voice inside their head.
Yeah, why'd you stop posting, bro? You have a lot of like crap to. You have like a lot of just people that follow you and subscribe and watch your stuff. Do you want a cool video that I found? Yeah, sure.
She's slowly descending into
but you need to keep posting, bro. If I had that many, got bored, bruh. I'm gonna keep it real, bro. If I had that amount of numbers on my channel, bro, I would not stop. I would keep going, dude. But that's my opinion, though. Obviously, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. Obviously, it's your choice. But still, damn. But yeah, what is this cool video that you found?
Stay the course.
I will.
Focus on my voice.
I will.
Don't let anyone lead you astray.
I won't.
Have you selected one?
I have.
That line of "don't let anyone lead you astray" really stands out.
Hold on,
Again,
hold on.
reinforcing this idea that the followers aren't fully under Afton's control, that they can be swayed or saved in some way, just like people
I'm
in a
looking at
real
it.
cult. It looks like we might be able to save these innocents from Afton's grasp before they commit any sorts of crime this
What
time.
that you found?
Where will
This
those
is a
crimes
fan
be
real.
happening?
Wait, so
Well,
this is a.
few weeks
Hold
ago,
on.
this
Needs to
was
load.
happening
Like,
on Scott's website.
let it load real quick.
More cool
Crap,
80s
no. Where'd it go?
Fnaf teasers for the new game that's coming out in 2020. But when the full Dreadbear DLC was released, the image got altered slightly
Ungroup.
to this.
Ungroup.
Notice those floppy ears? Looks like our new killer might be on the hunt in the mall. Looks like 2020 found itself
Night
a new
5, Final Fantasy
female
Freddy's
Fnaf
movie.
killer.
Whoa.
She's truly working undercover with no one suspecting anything.
Is
Clearly,
it
she must
IRL?
be a mall cop, segueing to a murder
Is
scene
cool
near
base movie before the real movie?
and I would end it there.
Nice.
You can also figure out her name. Brightening images
What is IRL?
through
It is a
source code.
whole entire movie.
Fnaf 1.0. At this point, the series is 5 years old. It's matured, and the fan base.
Party. I like how there's like,
and the way that we're able,
like how there's
expected to dig
like
for
different
clues has gotten significantly more advanced.
what's it
Like
called?
Arms Race. Scott finds a new way to hide clues.
There's different like chapters. Post credit scene. Where's the credits?
Next time he releases
That is really
something,
cool.
boom, we
I just
immediately
want to put it
whip
on.
that tool out.
I would. Okay, I genuinely would. Right.
Maybe let's not whip
The
out
thing is, my goal is to binge all the FNAF game theories right now, so I can't really put a whole movie on. But I would say I would want to put it on. I'll help you do that. What do you mean? You help me do that? Well, I mean, so I'll make you a playlist with all the FNAF game theories plus the what's it called? The movie as well. Yeah, I can put it in a queue, but I mean, I won't be able to get to it for like a good few days, at the very least, right? Because I'm on video 30 of from 2010 to 2025. What does that mean? I mean, yeah, you can make a playlist, yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. But like, what's going in this playlist? To 2025. You got a place from the future, dog? Like, what's going on?
You can see that it was saved using Adobe Photoshop, even down to the specific version.
Wow.
You can even see that there are some text layers here, and what
Like the first YouTube video to all to 2020 to like the first video to 2020. Yeah, sure. Well, you can do that. I would appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, you wouldn't need to put the first 30 FNAF game theories if that's what you're implying. Like maybe just the rest of them, I guess. We'll take a break while I work. We'll take a break while I work. What do you mean, like just stream? I'm gonna be streaming like this the entire time, so. I mean, I appreciate it. Yeah, do your thing, bro. I don't know what to call you. Something to see, bro. Call everyone, bro. So. Okay.
It would seem that Vanny is the new name of our killer.
Vanny is truly the new name of the killer.
Don't think that's it.
Oh, Matt Pat. No, like stream the film while I work on the playlist.
White Rabbit or Bunny, Vanessa Bunny, Vanny.
Stream the film on. Well, I have to watch game theory. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have to watch game theory for the entire stream. Give me another hour. I mean, I'm not doing much. I'm not doing much. It's not like I'm gonna go anywhere for the film. Let me see this film. It's almost 1 million views as well.
Out there, a cult of Glitchtrap, if you will, following in his bunny toad footsteps. And we know that this is the case.
Stream the film.
Wait,
so then what?
In the background of that DLC.
So what?
Apparently able to copy.
So what playlist are you making then? I am confused.
Overwriting an oversized Dreadbear. So you know that this one's intentional, right? It says that Glitchtrap is a copy, and that he's able to copy himself over and over and over again. The cult of Glitchtrap spreads. Now we just have to wait for the next sign of that killer to strike.
And in the starting sequence, and is of game theorist FNAF vids. Well, you know there's.
St. Jude charity live stream. Who knows? But in the meantime, stay vigilant, my friend.
You know, there's already a playlist. That's all the FNAF.
It's all just a theory.
Bro, you know there's already a playlist
Thanks for
of all the FNAF vids, right? So that's why I'm confused.
More FNAF's over.
Like I'm on the playlist right now.
December 3rd. I'm gonna rip my microphone off the couch.
I'm just saying, like I appreciate the work you're doing. But at the same time, it's like the playlist already exists. That's what I'm saying. And then I have to click this. Nope. Open link in new tab. Okay, there you go. Open link in new tab. I have a lot of.
See the ball pit? Hey,
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't got my shoes off yet.
Yeah, I should make the playlist. Why does that look like CG5-4? That's funny.
Made it. Ozzy? Ozzy? Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, and the start to what will undoubtedly be a very.
Then, alright, for sure, bro.
Because,
Appreciate
like
it.
us in the games industry is concentrated on new consoles with all of the teraflops and none of the actual games. Five Nights at Freddy's is over here in the corner doing its own thing and releasing, you know, exciting and interesting stuff. Last year's Help Wanted was a fantastic addition to the series, which keeps updating itself with new and exciting lore all the time. There's that new 80s inspired game coming out later this year. The AR game is something I should probably talk about at some point.
I'm not following here. Let me help with that. Let me help with that.
Interestingly of all, we have ourselves the rollout of a new book series.
There we go.
Fazbear
Now
Frights.
following.
The first one released after Christmas, and before the
Wait
end
on.
of this year, there'll be a total of,
Yeah.
let me check my notes. Holy mother of Ennard, five installments in a new book series in a year?
Yep.
It looks like Scott's gone back to his roots of just mass releasing stuff. It's like he saw the Netflix model of binge watching a show and was like, I want that, but for video games and apparently books. Jeez, if only mass dropped lore reveals for us to binge understand, we'd all be happier for it. Anyway, the reason I call these books out is that, first off, they're just really good. You ever read the Goosebumps books? I definitely did. Every single one. Night of the Living Dummy and Ghost Next Door every day, fam. Well, Fazbear Frights is just a modern version of those, with each book containing 3 short horror stories all set within the Fnaf universe. And true to them being a part of the franchise, they aren't afraid
Check
to
out my
get
about.
super
Can you check my
weird.
about
Today's
page?
episode is gonna go into detail for the first 3, so if you
On
wanna read it
Twitch?
blind, consider
Hold on.
this your
Wait, what was
spoiler
playing?
warning. Anyway, to give you a sense of tone, one story ends with a girl finding
About
her
page, sure.
silver
Yeah,
parts
I'll look at it right now.
away in plastic bags.
I'm clicking links right now. That's why I have
She
to.
herself
Okay.
has been piece by piece replaced with a robotic body. In another, a teenage girl's imprisoned and forced to choose the way in which she is gonna die, with options ranging from boiling alive to electrocution to decapitation.
Okay, sure,
She
yeah.
chooses the decap attack. Dear FNAF tubers, I know we were all super worried about Kappa coming in and striking us down.
I
but
see
for
your
stories
about
like
page
these,
right
I
now.
feel pretty
Very
darn safe.
cool.
But of course, I wouldn't be talking about all this on Game Theory if it wasn't for the lore. These aren't just random horror stories. Each one is connected back to characters and locations that we know from the original games. The girl who makes a wish to be beautiful and then is unknowingly hacked to
Okay.
pieces. Well, the fairy godmother doing the hacking is a red pig-tailed clown robot with green eyes. Does that description sound familiar to anyone? What about the girl who opts for decapitation? Well, I mentioned that she's imprisoned. What I left out was that she's actually trapped in the stomach of a white and pink bear with a twisted sense of humor and a thirst for blood. And if all that's too subtle for you, well, the first story outright has a guy in a golden bunny suit taking us to see 6 murdered kids in the back of a Freddy's Pizzeria in the year 1985. Pretty darn direct, but more on that later. These stories matter because they're giving us more information about how the FNAF universe operates, sometimes in very direct ways, like giving us the exact number of murder victims and the dates of their death, and sometimes in more indirect ways, by showing us that this is a
That's
canon
anything.
where
Yeah, no
world
worries.
and
I'm just
real
checking things out right now.
piece by piece is
Don't
a
worry, no
hybrid
worries.
so realistic that no one, not even herself, realizes it. And so that is what we're covering today. What these stories show us about the FNAF universe, what they confirm, and also
Okay,
what
also, I do
important
wanna grab a
details they
sandwich.
unlock. Plus, they open up a big theory about the games, one that I actually got wrong late last year, and I'm very excited about now. So with all that said, reader beware, you're in for a scare. Oh,
Reader
for those of
beware,
you
you're
who
in for a
dismiss this
scare.
as non-canon, I wouldn't be too quick quick to judge these books. Each one of them has this in its official description. Quote, in this volume, horror master Scott Cawthon spins 3 sinister novella-length stories from different corners of his series' canon. End quote. Different corners of the canon, you say? Sounds to me like some stories are going to be more aligned with the trilogy of books, some more so with the canon of the games, but still, all of them existing within the canon itself. So absolutely worth our time to investigate. The first story actually has a lot to cover, so I'm gonna just save that one for last and instead start with the second. To be
Very cool.
in it,
Just
Sarah,
checked out your
14-year-old
PDF.
rescues a red
PDF of what? You can, yeah, you can send me a PDF. I don't mind. You have all FNAF lore? Is it accurate? Like, is it up to date? I guess. Because the lore's been going on for like a while now at this point, basically. So I don't exactly know. Like, are you sure? Like, it's up to date? It is? Okay, sure, yeah. Send it in. Let's see.
Sarah looked at the floor. One bag contained a human leg, another a human arm. Blood pooled.
I'm gonna grab a sandwich real quick, actually. Enjoy the video. I'm gonna grab a sandwich. I'm hungry.
Another bag stuffed with bloody snake-like entrails and what appeared to be a liver slid from the cabinet's shelf and landed on the floor with a wet splat. Hey, if pizzerias never work out for you, baby, Beverly Hills plastic surgeon is a great backup career. The only stipulation is that Sarah must wear a special necklace to keep the illusion alive. When the necklace inevitably falls off, Sarah's new junk body is exposed and falls apart. She dies, surrounded by her own severed body parts as she's forced to watch baby walk out into the world having stolen her old look and identity. Quote again, I made your wish come true, Sarah. And in return, Eleanor laughed again. She jerked and shook, her silver finish turning the pinkish shade of Caucasian skin. In a matter of moments, she was a dead ringer for Sarah. Well, she certainly made my wishes come true. Great story to read to the kids at night, by the way. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the shape-shifting robots slice off your face and steal.
I'm a sandwich.
Anyway, as I mentioned before, Sarah's extreme makeover confirms that in the FNAF canon, humans can be partly or fully robotic without ever knowing it. We've seen it before in the original
New tab.
trilogy of books.
Clicking on it right now.
Fourth closet revealed that protagonist
Doesn't need
was a
access.
highly advanced robot, and we're seeing it again happen here.
Hold on.
Normal human Sarah unknowingly being remade into a robot. The fact that this is now a recurring element
Here.
of the series goes to support the idea that Michael,
I sent a request.
child of FNAF 4, after getting bitten, could have been put back together in a much more literal way than
Requested,
any of us
yeah.
were expecting all those years ago. He was put together
Send
as a
request.
teen.
I
He grew
now.
up without knowing it and was only
I'm
able to
currently
figure it all out
modifying my
once he
sandwich.
miraculously survived being scooped at the end of Sister Location.
Something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not.
Does this little short story outright confirm any of it? No, certainly not. But third time,
There's
is the
cheese,
charm.
some sort of hamish
The third
kind of
story
stuff
about a
going
girl
on.
named Millie trapped inside Funtime
Okay.
Freddy's stomach doesn't really tell us a whole lot. But instead, it just confirms
Sent.
what we already suspected: that the Funtime robots were
Let me
designed to
see.
be large enough to capture kids.
The sandwich is
and
really, really
kill
cold,
them off,
actually.
Transport them to underground testing facilities. Moving on to the end of the book, there's a little teaser, like a Marvel movie, but with 100% less.
14
fear,
pages?
where we get a preview of a seemingly new monster. Two cops are
The frick?
a hooded figure raiding the neighborhood's dumpsters.
Hold
They
on.
call it the Stitch Raid. Quote, the Stitch Raid,
Let me see.
witnesses said, was a shrouded
I'm gonna read it as the video plays.
The detective squinted at a picture that showed
Placing it to some of the earliest glimpses into the Pizza's history through the minigames, each of the main titles, before being called Freddy Fazbear Pizza. The first restaurant was called Freddy Fazbear Restaurant. Okay. Two men opened their original restaurant and its several rebranding, and its several rebrandings as co-owners. William Atom and Henry Emily. My half messed up and malfunction fan fiction is. Hold on, what? My half messed up and malfunction fan fiction. And malfunction fan fiction is 200 pages. Wow. You should become a writer, bro. You should just like change the names for some of like the characters, like so it's not like copyright infringement, copyright violation. Then just like upload it, and then post a video on your channels, and then be like, hey guys, I have a book out. Can you buy it, please? Instant like good several K right there. I'm just saying. You're already working on it right now. Nice. What? Making a book?
I guess that's just pretty interesting to me. I think it's fun. Anyway, it's also worth noting here that the teaser attributes 5 dead bodies to Ennard.
Yes.
Quote,
Nice.
five
I have a book.
severed bodies with eyes that bled black.
Not published right now, but it's in the works.
So it appears that Ennard, after leaving Michael's body, tried to skin suit 5 or so other people. Notice that it's
This is my first draft. That's not the name of it, but hold on, yeah, I'm gonna read it right now. This is my book. I'm gonna publish it eventually.
Oil as Ennard needs to go and find another skin suit to possess. That's pretty much everything else. But what
Very
I
cool.
really want to focus on now and in a follow-up mini theory.
I want to be an author. At least I want to at least publish that book and see where it goes. And just keep trying to do content creation.
In it, a video game-loving, anime-obsessed 10-year-old boy named Oswald is forced to spend most of his summer in an old
This is
restaurant.
I'm reading right now.
Pizza. One day,
The restaurant's concept was to create a special place for children's birthday parties.
wait for this.
Pizza and cake, the thing that made the restaurant chain special, was an animatronic, well, there's an animatronic waitstaff and entertainment.
Quote, when the smell of pizza hit Oswald's nose,
Originally, they were unable to create animatronics, so instead they crafted 2 spring-lock suits that they or their staff could wear. Okay, makes sense, makes sense. Follows in line with what we've seen before.
Rabbit and the bird girl. Below their faces were the words Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He even caught sight of a calendar hanging in an open office that helped him pinpoint the date, 1985.
Also, for the business did so well, they ended up creating a second location.
Cross-reference all the arcade cabinets that you saw in the pizzeria.
Party Five Pizza. And no, just bad grammar at the end. Okay, no worries.
Just had to go and take that all away from me. Thanks for saving me the
What's
research,
in my
I guess. But
sandwich?
no thanks for taking away my deserving
Oh,
YouTube
hold
watch
on.
minutes. And here's the first big mind blow of this book series. First, because I think there are actually 2 in this one story. In this story, we get ourselves clear, indisputable evidence that in 1985, 6 kids were
Ended up.
Quote, the rabbit
Hold on.
stopped in front of a door with a sign reading party room. Half a dozen kids, none of them older than Oswald, their lifeless bodies propped into sitting positions, their legs stretched out in front of them. They were all wearing Freddy Fazbear birthday
Got the 2
suits.
spring-lock suits.
Oswald couldn't tell how
The new
many
location
times
for new animatronics were
the
created
rabbit was
and adored
responsible.
were Freddy, Bonnie,
The
Chica, and
rabbit
Foxy.
had wanted him
Success
to
spring-lock
keep
suits.
handy.
Act is cruel and business
On one
awesome.
hand, it's
Toward the children who
incredible to
flocked.
finally get ourselves a date and a firm number of dead children. But get ready to change your Facebook status because it is complicated. You see, 1985 has never once been an important date in the series. 1983? Absolutely, that's Fnaf 4. 1987? You betcha, that's Fnaf 2. We've got ourselves 80s representation everywhere. Mullets and Oingo Boingo for days, but never, not once has
Hold
there
on.
ever been a mention of 1985.
Modifying my sandwich again.
And while it might be easy to immediately write that off as a typo or some non-canon event, it's definitely not. Far from it. In fact, for as
This is a really cold sandwich. What the frick?
Ball pit from a short story and a spin-off series of books takes Oswald back to a pizzeria that we've
Okay.
never seen before, but one that we have absolutely known to have existed since the second game in this series. As proof, let me pull up a clip from my second ever episode on Fnaf, back when Purple Guy was actually Phone Guy. Those were the days. Every Way to Sunday, this game is a prequel. Posters everywhere in Five Nights 2 welcome you to this new location, implying that there was another Freddy Fazbear's Pizza somewhere before this one. Additionally, the Phone Guy makes reference to it on night 1, mentioning the old location and how it was left to rot. So let me recap. There's the restaurant from the first game, which is the last in the timeline. The one that you're currently working at in 1987 in Five Nights 2, an older location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria left to rot, and the original Fredbear's Diner. In FNAF 2, we're presented with newspaper clippings that outright says that this location is having a grand reopening. But we knew, even way back then, 5 years ago, that the events of FNAF 1 took place after FNAF 2. It was a prequel sequel, so there had to have been a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza that existed prior to FNAF 2 that got the franchise shut down in the first place. We also know that it wasn't Fredbear's Family Diner because Phone Guy calls that restaurant out separately.
Hello and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. We're going to try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that.
So in this one random little scene from Fazbear Frights, we uncover a pivotal piece of the timeline that's been missing for the last 5 years. A mystery pizzeria that's been gone since the very beginning of this franchise. A pizzeria that looks to be home to the first 6 actual murders of the Fazbear story. In fact, I can actually do you one better. I believe this to be the 6 dead kids that we end up reuniting in the Happiest Day minigame from Fnaf 3. Notice that detail about all of them wearing party hats. These were kids all taken from the same party. And the Happiest Day minigame from Fnaf 3 has us reuniting them to finally finish the birthday party that got prematurely and gruesomely cut short. This is huge information here,
Good
guys.
pasta.
However, true to
No, good. Yeah, I'm reading it right now. Sorry. I didn't see your comment. I was reading.
lines up. With this being chronologically the
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I like it.
murders that we
Pretty
see in
accurate too.
Pizzeria set before
Like it puts everything together
we should be
perfectly.
seeing the animatronics get
On
possessed.
page
It's something that we've never actually seen
4
in
so far.
games. This
4 out of
should
14.
be the missing children's incident, where the victims' bodies are shoved into the suits, never to be found. But it's clearly not. The book makes it very obvious that these bodies were clearly out and visible. Quote again, there were noises, but not the usual ones of Freddy Fazbear's. Screams, crying children,
All the
yells
way
for
in
help, chaos.
2010?
Stomach in knots, he moved through the crowd.
When was FNAF released? 2011, right? No. Not 2011. Like 2015.
Their faces masks of shock. End quote. The bunny had laid out all his victims for everyone
2014?
to see. A far cry from the bodies being shoved into the
Was it
suits and
2014?
not being discovered
Hold
for
on.
years on end. Hence the missing children's
When was
incident.
FNAF
The
released?
missing children's incident is most likely where the animatronics got possessed because, you know, their bodies are in the suits along with the metal. And so the metal and the souls fused together
When
to create living animatronics. Rolling
was
to 1987. Oh my gosh, look, there's living
FNAF
animatronics roaming around this pizzeria. Oh, and we installed
2014, yeah.
devices just because we know
Yeah,
a
the
murderer
testing
came around
demo.
last time.
Huh?
There's a reason I stopped talking about the timeline of these things. Additionally, there are 6
When did you get the testing demo? How did you get the testing demo? What the frick?
That, in and of itself, would be okay, right? Since FNAF 6, 6 children has always been the magic number. It's weird to mention a magic number when talking about murdered children, but you know what? This series desensitizes you to a lot. Our list is Susie, Fritz, Gabriel, Jeremy, Cassidy, and Charlotte. The core 4 animatronics, Golden Freddy, and the puppet. 6. The problem is,
You have a beta
Charlotte
tester program?
always seems to have a separate death
Yo, give me.
outside of the
Send that link too, bro. I want to get into that.
children. So having her suddenly lined up with all the rest
Damn,
of the
bro.
kids at the same time
That's
doesn't
wild.
make a whole heck of a lot of sense. I don't know.
Page
Maybe
6
just
now, I
need
think.
to think on it more because
No,
everything
page
else
5.
lines up. We have ourselves a golden bunny leading kids down a hallway.
That's
into a
close.
bathroom.
No.
His original
Cringe.
newspaper clippings
Okay, then, well.
He's also
That's cool that you got
dead
into that
or
program.
invisible, which
Whatever
means
that
he'll
is.
likely be taken into custody. Again, just like those original
I wanna do that one day.
clippings describe. As it always is with the series, so many items line up, but there's just 1 or 2 little details, little sticking points that make the pieces fit a little awkwardly. I honestly think, though, that this isn't the last time that we're going to be seeing this pizzeria. Remember earlier
Only
when I
Discord are
mentioned that
content
new
creators
FNAF
in
game
it?
that's coming out in 2020, a little bit later this year,
Fair enough.
probably titled Into
I
the
guess we'll probably get into that eventually if I keep working at this.
in a mall with a very 80s theme. Again, we've been talking about the Rockstar animatronics for a couple episodes now, and that's the one where they get revealed. It wouldn't be surprising for me to see that game be the one where we finally step foot inside the first ever Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria and witness all the events that Oswald just saw for ourselves. So there you have it, my friends, the first major and a couple of minor reveals that this installment had in store for us. However, there is one final mystery that this story might help us solve. Not only does it give us a new set of murders to think about, crimes that are now chronologically the earliest that we see in the timeline, but also Into the Pit may just be giving us the identity of the person behind all of this. I don't mean behind the child murders. I mean the mystery of the man behind the games. What do I mean by that? And what evidence do I have to prove it? Well, that
Well,
my
you were
friends,
born
is
if you're
a
comfortable.
theory unto itself for next week. So in the meantime,
20,
subscribe,
no.
ring the bell, and most
19
importantly, remember, it's all just a theory.
1996?
Game theory. Thanks for sticking
Just
around
kidding.
to the end. I know
03.
FNAF episodes tend to dive pretty deep sometimes.
Why?
But even after all the games and books and shades of purple, I gotta say I still find them fun. That said, if this episode leaves you wanting more, well, you can always
I have no idea what I have no idea what gen I am right now.
sponsor audible.com.
I'm just trying to live, bro.
Audiobook service. You can literally play FNAF
Got nothing.
games while you listen to the latest FNAF books in the series.
Just
It's like
cheese
the
knows
ultimate
that.
Fun zone for your mind. Audible has an awesome selection of
But yeah,
books just
I get some
waiting
Gen
for you
Z.
to listen, including that brand new Fazbear Fright series.
1920? No, you're not, bro.
Right there, ready to tickle your eardrums for free.
Yeah, 100
with Audible. using
a Euro person is in my chat right now, bro. In no way.
MATPAT, or heck, if you're on a mobile device, text MATPAT, M-A-T-P-A-T, to 500 500. You can also already pre-order
There's a full day?
Book 2 of the Fazbear Fright series in preparation for even more animatronic spoopiness. That one's coming out as soon as March, which is just incredible.
1920.
I told you he's rolling these things out at a fast pace.
But on Halloween 1920, bro. You're not 100 years old, bro. That's not.
Well, then I'd highly recommend diving into Audible's
Maybe October 31st is the actual birthday, but
I mean, I told you earlier, but I absolutely
not the year.
devoured these things as a kid and teenager. And even now as an adult, they hold up really well as fun, easy books to listen to when you're not looking to rack your brain. So Audible has all the
animatronic years.
books I loved growing up, including the two I mentioned earlier, Night of the Living Dummy, So Creepy, and Say Cheese and Die. I mean, these things
Animatronics don't have
so if
years.
you read them already and you want a nostalgia
They're
hit,
robots.
boom, Audible's got you covered. If you have never read Goosebumps before and you
So.
like Fnaf, you are gonna love this series. I guarantee it. So get going. Your first month is free.
Holy frick.
Any free audiobook of your choice, plus 2 Audible originals. Audible works on any connected devices, so it goes with you from work,
Okay,
to school,
25 years.
car, to your local
Nice.
time-traveling ball pit. Just kidding. It will go to a ball pit, but you really should
Oh
avoid
my gosh.
those things. Truly icky places.
Got a cough.
So many germs. Anyway, my advice for you today, go listen to audiobooks, stay out of ball pits. Audible.com/MatPat. AUDIB.
Oh, let me, you okay? I got stuff on my throat. Ugh. This bread is like really crusty, dude. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna put this in my trash. Wait, hold on. BRB.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where today we continue our analysis of Fnaf's newly released ghost stories, The Fazbear Frights. Last week we covered the majority of this book's key reveals, including the massive bombshell
We are back.
where we
Oh my
visit
gosh.
what is chronologically
Oh, that hurt my
the
throat.
earliest Freddy
Oh my
Fazbear
gosh.
Pizza we've yet seen, a
Be careful,
location that we
bruh.
have never visited before.
Okay, I'm still reading this page. Everything looks fine.
Have existed somewhere in the background since the release of FNAF 2. With 6 murders set in 1985, it makes it very likely that this
I've been reading this thing the entire time. Hold on.
closed down the franchise before its grand reopening 2 years later in 1987. And that, loyal theorists, is why I scrounged through every scrap of FNAF content out there, and like entered the Stitch Wraith over here. Scott throws out ideas and I'm just digging through his dumpster hoping to cobble it all together into a workable body theory thing. Whatever. As that silly children's workbook taught me years ago, some of the biggest lore reveals in this franchise can happen in the unlikeliest of places.
I thought
we're gonna reveal
the toy
more
animatronics were just
names,
not
children's
possessed, but
stories,
rather
word search.
just like the robot software like made them evil.
Was fantastic. I thought it was a brilliant way to do it. That said, I will not forgive dabbing Chica. Never. Truly a cursed image. But you see, I think there was one other massive
I know.
lore reveal hidden in Fazbear
well,
Frights, buried among
you know what I mean? I don't
the
know.
tales of Extreme Makeover Robot Edition and Ball Pit Time Machine. A lore reveal that is absolutely worth our time exploring today. A lore reveal that introduces us to a character who's been helping to pull the strings since the very beginning. One who's
Did
been
Mango
teaching
actually do
us
the Bite
the
87?
horrors of
I don't know if it was the
Fazbear.
Bite 87, but
Someone whose
you know what's
importance
messed up?
goes
What's
far
messed up?
beyond just the 40 pages he appears in
Mango
throughout this book.
bit the
I
part
think
that was trying
Into
to
the Pit may have
in
just
part.
introduced us to
Child
the
loss
creator
the
of
frontal
this
lobe,
game.
which causes the
And I'm
company to
not
scrap
talking
out
about Scott Coffin. Let me
animatronics.
explain. One of the strangest
William
inclusions
Afton
FNAF
broke
VR
my.
Help Wanted was a reference
Huh?
to a game designer that was telling
I don't know if that's
the
something you
horrors
should be
happening
saying, my guy, on the internet.
pizza.
We know
The
that
digital
Fazbear
footprint is real, my guy.
has developed something
Hey, yo.
of a bad reputation over the last
Just
few
saying.
decades. And while it's true that some stories
Cause the company is scrap
associated
animatronics
with
for the puppet, ensure the safety for all children.
events,
Destroying with and murdering his wife, William begins crafting 3D animatronics. Playtime Freddy Playtime Foxy and Ballora.
Where is Scott Cawthon himself?
Ballora.
Okay, fine. Ha. Funny joke there, Scott. I mean,
Gladly,
this
I'm
series also
fine.
gets self-aware. We're all familiar with that. And
Gladly, you
for a
are.
mainline
Yes,
title in the
very
series,
cool.
This one felt pretty extreme, but fine. Cool with it. And then you keep
Pretty
going, and what's
strange. It would be you would be in that situation in the first place. Gonna be honest.
piece of the lore.
Dude, okay, it's cool. I'm gonna get a sweater real quick. Hold on.
Lied to all of us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer who supposedly made up a bunch of crazy stories that tarnished the brand.
But it
I just
doesn't
started
stop
freezing
there.
up right
There's
now.
more twists in Fnaf
Oh,
VR
crap.
than there is in a typical M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Fazbear Entertainment hired the game developer. Those indie games were
Jordan has a victory. Put on a spring bunny suit. More to celebrate for getting the pedophile suit. And
It's an elaborate cover-up.
The whole thing starts with like, oh, this game designer is a joke. Psych, no he's not. He's actually
Matthew
critical to
Sue
the lore
crushes
and
him
is
to death.
exposing the crimes happening at these restaurants. Booyah, fooled you again. He's actually one of the villains.
Orange
When
and
Gus
locking off
actually
it.
settles on this
Traces into the
plot
background,
twist,
trying to
what
hit
we're
best
left
cover up.
with is a game
Being
designer
animatronic to all of his
looking
attempts,
like
failures,
Scott
keep changing
Cawthon,
his self
hired
with safe
by
dice.
Fazbear Entertainment to make indie games,
Michael's
the
father.
games that we've all
That's
been
how technician
playing up to this point in order to misdirect us away from the real lore of the story. So of course, I did an episode all about how Scott Cawthon
Okay.
is the villain of Fnaf. Let me rephrase what we just heard. Scott is one of the bad guys. He was lying to us. If Fnaf VR's tapes are to be believed, pretty much everything we know from the first 3, at least, but maybe even 4, 5,
Time
6 games,
Shrek's
all
called
be thrown
and
out as
entered Michael's body during the time a new horror attraction is
Scott
born.
Cawthon for the
As for
sole
Fries,
reason
unfortunately, in
he was
doing their
paid
research,
off
people
by
building an
Fazbear
attraction went through the sit down.
Except I was wrong.
Diners
Not
found
sure,
Scrap
but
or
here,
we met them
my
within his
timing
suit.
couldn't have been any worse. You see, earlier that very week that I uploaded
Scrap.
that video, Scott made a post
Scrapped
on
him.
Reddit saying that the indie game developer from Fnaf
Wait.
VR isn't him.
Found Scrap
He
Trap
isn't
or
him.
William Afton within his
The
suit?
question is this: is Scott Cawthon now a part of
It's
Fnaf?
Scrap Trap.
The short answer
That's his
is
name.
no. Yes, I used my own picture
Right?
of this indie developer.
Oh, it's Springtrap. No, it's different.
But that
Oh, yeah,
doesn't
that's right.
necessarily mean that it's actually me in universe.
But it's Scrap Trap though, because
Yeah,
it's
Scott, you remain vague and
why.
mysterious
But then why does it say
about
William
4
Afton for? That's
years.
the weird
Half
part.
a decade at this point. And this one little detail is the thing that you
Track
want to
in recognizes
clarify.
bottle
And you
within Scrap
choose-
Trap.
you just
Knowing what he
choose
needs to
to.
do, he
Right
travels
before
to
I
the
go on
attractions
this
after
very
fire
topic,
traps and
while it
gold
is
and trauma.
obviously still a perfectly
Sprawl place
valid
spirits of
theory,
children
if
for
ever
community
want to
fine
dismiss all
to
of the findings for that
and
entire
Papa going
theory,
ready.
this is the one small
Because
detail that I get wrong
oh, that's
that
what,
everyone
oh,
focuses
okay.
on.
I forgot. I thought they were like
I have feelings
referencing two different people. Okay, cool.
Scott continues, quote again. So no, I'm not canon. Only the existence of a game developer that supposedly
That's
made
a
video
okay. Yeah,
games
that's right.
based on actual events that may or may
Charlie,
not be
Papa
a
Golden
cover
Freddy, or
by
Evan
Fazbear
Afton.
Entertainment.
Afton Afton
If
stayed
canon.
behind.
Keep in
Who's
mind
Evan
that
Afton?
I do
Stayed
tend
behind
to
to ensure that
focus
William
on
had
the
everything
Fnaf
done to
in the
finish.
game, just
Henry
like
and Emily now
Fnaf
knowledge all the evil
In
deeds.
Fnaf 4, I used a picture of a mountain range that I took while I was a
To
truck
nullify
driver in
William's
West
action
Texas.
to do
I used
this.
a picture of a snowman that me and my older sons made together. I used
Crying
a
child?
picture
Oh,
of a
okay.
mockingbird that we nursed back to health one year. Do these have
Pro-
more significance? Well, you probably already know the answer. And oh, I know the answer, Scott. And that answer is yes.
Their fight leaving the new final words. Final speech. Emily burns down as establishment with herself, the manager, all the attractions have decided to fire releases all the ones. All once the spirit of Evan within Golden Freddy. It was not until we had replayed everything, had gone through another 20 years that he would finally choose to let go. After the death of both original founders and Original Electronics, it's officially taken over by Vince People to take something of the franchise. I hired in the game developer to create a series of games to remove the dark humors. The game development team. William Afton survived over 6 fires. Bro, this guy's got a potion of fire resistance, bro, I swear. That is actually wild, though. Developing new series of VR games. So, are like the games that the indie game dev made, not the actual games that we're playing, but rather like it's just like it's like in the FNAF world, the FNAF universe, right? Like there's other games out there that like yes isn't what like yes as in that are the games that we're playing are the actual indie dev. You're just saying yeah. I don't know what you're trying to say, dog. Like, which is confusing because it's like retconning everything. Both those. All. But then how would that make sense? Because then everything in the first games would be non-canonical, right?
This is just him naturally choosing to draw these oddly specific things without any
Strange.
or influences. So Already, this boy seems to have himself a strange connection to
I
the
don't know.
Fnaf lore,
It's
or is just a
strange.
psychopath in training, but there's more. First,
Anomaly, no
story
one.
intimate
This isn't see how that works. So
establish
here I
Oswald
apps.
as a video game's B-grade
Oh wait, I think the game
a lot
to
of
decode all
time
these
for a 40 page
undeletable
story.
files.
We
Tries to
hear
break
about
apart
him
the
listening
files
to
to
video
get
game soundtracks.
well,
We
it's non-canon.
witness
Data
Nathan
miners
arguing
got
with his
info.
father over cheesy Toho-style Godzilla monsters.
Okay, so it's non-canon. So the first like 4 games are like non-canon.
Sorts of movies. He visits the library and we hear about his enthusiasm.
But then like they are, because that's what
Now, the
we
connection
used
to
to
video games is
figure out
pretty
the
obvious
lore.
here, right? If he likes video
That is
games,
confusing.
right,
I have no
chance
idea.
that he'd want to grow up to be a designer of video games himself. But it's his connection to old
Mall's
cheesy
construction.
Japanese films and
Over time of the
movies
mall's
that really
construction,
got
Fazbear Entertainment had been throwing all of the old haunted animatronics down there,
at various
just
corporate
slowly
restaurants that
building
came
into
from
new
the
amalgamation.
Mayor of Vengeance
Amalgamation
Fest.
witnesses the rebirth of the William via down on Freddy and Gregory to leave the spirits to be at the rest again. That is the entire Fnaf floor. Wait, hold on. I think I skipped one part.
Designer of the Fnaf games, he presumably made Ultimate Custom
Smithing her,
would
then he
lead
stops
the fan
therapist.
of this style of storytelling to want to incorporate it into his work.
Information is
And here we
core.
have ourselves Oswald, a person who exists in
To affect this core and cause it to shut down. When you reckon Gregory inside a stomach catch, just a start from that's the game. Gregory damage each of the main animatronics to upgrade Freddy into the best animatronic. Kind of scared with Gregory once the doors open in the morning. They travel together on the ground and find Freddy. It's a place where the original souls had been put to rest. Freddy mentions that Vanny had brought him there before and that she made him realize she was not herself. The power of charging stations, Vanny reconstructed his body, transferred William's data to the animatronics from Glitch Trap. Wait, so what is going on with Gregory though? What is? Because Gregory just shows up. There has to be more to Gregory. Isn't Gregory like a robot? I'm pretty sure Gregory's a robot. You're probably missing that part there, but that's generally like the only things that I know about you know, this thing. Yes. So you probably should put Gregory as a robot there. If you know what I'm saying.
Well, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch. But okay, saying our designer was this kid who draws spooky animatronics,
Okay, cool.
comes from a low to
Very
modest
cool.
income family, a story similar to Scott, and likes the video games and anime is still a bit of a stretch, right? Describes like 90% of kids. Okay, well, maybe not all kids have a psychic connection with a decades-old murder restaurant, but the rest of it, sure, pretty generic kid. Here's the thing, though. We're not just talking about Oswald's character traits here. If you look at Ozzy's experience with the Fazbear restaurant in the story, you could see where he'd be inspired to include certain game
Interesting.
elements that we ourselves have played through. The first and most obvious is Jeff, the current owner of Jeff's Pizzeria, the pizzeria that took over the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's and Oswald's time. He's described in the book like this, quote, Jeff was creepy too. He looked 100 years old, but was probably just 30, with those heavy-lidded, bloodshot eyes, the stained apron, and the slow speech and movement. He was like a zombie pizza chef, end quote. Slow movements, bloodshot eyes.
Okay, let me fix.
Pizza chef with a red
Interesting link though. Very, very cool. At least someone has put it together. I was waiting for just something like this to happen. You should probably at least like post this somewhere, like on Reddit or something, just so like people can see and like get, you know, get it connected, get it, fit it all together. You know what I mean? It's a sad novel. Okay. Let me see. Like a new tab on Wattpad. The abandoned story of the first Piz. Or the first Piz.
You know, when I was little, I
Is it the full title? No.
I even had a stuffed Freddy I used to sleep with. End quote.
I guess it is.
Sorry, that's the lore connection alarm. It goes off anytime someone
And a
makes a
story
passing reference
of the
to
first
Fnaf 4. In
Piz.
that same conversation, Mike also reveals that he has himself a sister.
Pizzeria. Okay.
Sorry again. And then they also talk about how creepy clowns and dolls are. Apologies, that's my other alarm. That's the sister location revelation alarm. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be Mike Afton
Let me see what
Mike
this is.
Beverly. Oh, you can
Is it a video or what?
that one. But these conversations could certainly have inspired Oswald to make a
I'm
character
confusion. Is it just like
Mike,
what the one
who
page?
lives and loves
Okay, let me
the
see.
Freddy Fazbear franchise, who has
It's a
stuffed
video.
favorite Freddy plush, who has a sister who loves dolls and becomes a really creepy clown doll hybrid.
It
who
is.
commands an army
Members
of
only
dolls
content?
herself. Later in the book, Oswald meets a girl named Gabrielle, who loves
So I
Greek
cannot
and gives
open
him the
that.
courage to fight back
What if
against
I-
Bonnie. Gabrielle is a very
Paste and
random
go.
character, but one with again a very important
End an
name.
image.
One that is
I'll
once
up-
again
I'll
shockingly
update it every
similar
day.
to one of the kids that we find on our gravestone, Gabriel.
Okay,
Even
cool,
the
I guess,
theme
yeah.
of this
Very
short
nice.
story could have inspired Oswald's games. You see, after Oswald uncovers the 1985 murders, his dad gets sucked into the time travel pit by Golden Bonnie. And not just sucked in, he's replaced. Suddenly, everywhere his dad should be, Ozzy instead sees the silent, staring Golden Bonnie stalking him.
You need to sign up right now?
Ozzy
Hold
is
on.
the only one who sees it too.
To see his story.
Everyone else just sees his father like normal. Actually, a really creepy, disturbing piece of
I mean, I can't really.
that gets Ozzy to question
I don't have like the
his
money
insanity,
for that
but it's
anyway,
also one that
so I can't really
directly
sign
ties
up
back
for
to the
much.
core motif of the game
Corroded.
of father William Afton becoming a golden bunny to terrorize kids, including his own son. A son who then has to go out, seek,
It's
and
free?
ultimately
Hold
rescue
on.
his father in order to end the nightmare. And then you just have random
Let's look at
lines
here. They
inserted into
some
the story that
electronics.
kind of fit but kind of don't, but are also oddly
Not bad. Very
specific to
cool.
key moments throughout the Fnaf franchise.
I have no idea what.
Every day you toss me out on the street like garbage, end quote, which are reminiscent of the Fnaf 6 salvage.
I have no idea what
minigames,
I'm
with
supposed to do.
animatronics literally being thrown out on the street. This line, as Ozzy says it in the context of the scene, is kind of awkward.
You see why
but
it's
if you're
sad?
looking at it through the lens of, hey, this is actually a lore connection back to the games. Now all of a sudden it fits.
I guess
perfectly. There are just so many details that
the children that who had once loved to come to Freddy's Pizzeria were now growing up. They had long since forgotten about the place. But sometimes late at night, they could swear they could hear the sound of laughter emanating from the building. They listened closely. They could swear they could hear the sound. The animatronics saying, "Okay, yeah, it's nice, pretty cool, very interesting too."
He knows what they can do to him. I mean, will
Very
any of
poggers.
this ever come into play in any way, shape, or form? Unclear, probably not. But one, it actually may be able to help us better separate out the truth.
Look how Matt Pat's still going, bro.
Early games of this franchise, like knowing zombie people were inspired by Jeff, the owner of Jeff's Pizzeria, the zombie guy, may take all of that information off the table and really let us focus in on what truly matters, a specific subset of murders. But even if it doesn't do anything,
So I'm the only one that
too,
survived.
I wouldn't be surprised
Only,
if we end
okay.
up seeing Oswald
Also, you're like,
at some point. I mean, already
no,
there's a new
yeah.
teaser for the next installment of Fazbear Fright, Fetch, up on Scott's website. So you can bet that we're gonna have
So
a lot more to
you're
say
saying
about
it's
these
U.S. and Mangle, right?
games in the
No, you're
coming
Funtime
months.
Foxy.
But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Cool. Makes sense. Makes sense. Thanks for watching. I'm the Mango now. Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. Very poggers. Very interesting. Very interesting. Nice. Good story though. Did enjoy that one.
Game series.
Book series.
Help wanted.
New book series.
Ooh, my
Come
neck.
on. Fine. Phone guy.
Phone
Type.
Purple guy.
Let me see.
Didn't you just...
Tap with the hook.
Fine. Wild
I gotta make
card.
sense.
Change the
You
category
just gotta
to
learn to tap with one hand, I guess.
Chump of 83.
Party of 85.
Wait, but
Time traveling ball pit.
you can't just...
Reverse.
Oh yeah? Reverse.
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 Is that actually? No, it's not Scott Cawthon, huh? It's probably like a voice actor, most likely.
Hello,
XD,
Internet.
bruh.
Welcome to
Game Theory.
Another day, another installment in the Fnaf multimedia conglomerate. So at this point, some
Is
people
film
in the
theory
Fnaf
is not
community really
a
hate
thing
my
yet?
hits, like, ring me through a meat
In a reverse
pie or
moment? I
feed
know,
me
bruh.
to a rabid dog animatronic levels of hate. Like, for instance, this comment.
You know what
and
Scott should
I'll
do? He should
read
bring in,
to stay true to his
Scott should, like,
quote, as a hard care
canonize,
fan, he's a embracement to Fnaf
should
purists.
implement
He
the one dog
insists on
animatronic
using
into the
box
game.
to proof his stupid theories,
Remember that
and
one?
they
What is his
don't
name? Like
even make
Spot?
sense. He swoops
Sparky?
and thinks
Sparky the
he's
animatronic?
smart, but he's not. I wish he would
That would be so cool if he
then
brought
goes
him
on
in.
to rant for a paragraph about how unrealistic time travel is in a franchise about robot rabbits haunted by ghost metal, but I think you get the point.
Fetch and
Though
Sparky?
I've
I don't
used
remember
this one
Fetch.
really over-the-top
I remember Sparky.
extreme
Let me look it up
comment
real
as
quick.
an example, seeing stuff like this is a bummer. 'cause
Sparky.
I don't know if you can tell, but I really do like this franchise. And
Nah.
I see my role in it as a person just connecting ideas or presenting new threads to consider in a franchise that at this point is massive and
I think it's
really, really
Sparky. Yeah, it's
confusing.
Sparky.
But his comment does bring up something that I should probably address at the top of this episode since it'll be relevant for today. My use of the, how did he
Yeah,
put
Sparky
it?
the dog. I
Dogs
remember
to
that. I
prove
miss
my
it.
theories. Here's the
What
thing,
do you
friends.
find
I
that
think
was
this is something
stupid,
that
bruh?
both sides could use as a reminder, both my FNAF theory followers and my FNAF theory haters. There is a difference between canonicity and continuity, and I think a
Wait a
lot
minute, I
of
just
times
found
in
it.
these sorts of discussions they get confused with each other. Something being
Oh.
listed as canon just means that it's official. It is blessed by
Well, and
person
the,
who
also the
oversees
video that was
rules
like
of
on the
universe
webpad
and
is not free, bruh.
self-consistent within the boundaries of that
Wait, is this you
fictional
too? No,
world.
it's
On
not.
the other hand, a continuity, at least as I'm referring to it here, is a timeline
Is this
of
you, dog?
events, a continuous story thread where one event leads to the next that leads to the next. Take Star Wars as an example. Rey having magic healing powers.
Like, are
Rise of
you
Skywalker,
Mist
or
Fro
Leia
as
flying
well?
around
And
like
I
Mary
doubt it.
Poppins in The Last Jedi, because they're appearing in official works of the franchise.
I'm
those
not sure.
powers thereby get the green light as being canonical powers of the Force in the overall Star Wars universe. The problems people have with them, though, is that they don't fit in cleanly with the continuity that was previously established. If Force healing is in fact a thing, then why hasn't it been used to save literally anyone before this point in the series? Tell you what, it would have been really handy for old Qui-Gon Jinn over there in Episode 1, but the fact remains, healing is now a canonical Force power, which means that the canonicity of certain powers is presenting challenges to the established continuity of
Let me see
events
real
that
quick.
came before.
Found a
Now,
music
this is where
moment.
FNAF comes in. You see, you can have
New
multiple
link.
continuities all existing under the same
What is
canon.
this?
And it appears as though this is how the FNAF franchise is working. The original novels and the original games exist in an alternate universe from
Betch
one
put
another.
something
They
in,
are
right?
separate continuities, and yet they are all deemed canon. This was all expressly stated by Scott.
What's
years
more
ago.
music on?
Quote, so yes,
Hold on,
the
let
book
me
is canon,
um.
just as the games are. That doesn't mean that they are intended to fit together like two puzzle pieces. The book is a reimagining of the 5
Yes, you can show. Hold on.
and if you go into it with that mindset, I think you'll really enjoy it. End quote. Now,
What is this?
Like a call from the noise of thunder, thunder. Here are my pulled thoughts. I can be drowned out by fear of something sin.
Bruh. Look at animation though.
Rooting my down, tearing me minds come alive and I
My son, you're showing me this vid?
life is a mess, is a mess.
D4 rant? Bruh.
My life is a mess. Wanna play safe, but I don't know how.
Why does the dog have like bunny ears? Yo. Palax D, how you doing, bro? Appreciate you stopping by. Hell yeah. I'm just looking at what this viewer just sent in right now. Is this supposed to be Gregory? Or like Gregory passed? What is this like a fan game or something? Because obviously Fetch isn't like part of the actual franchise. Okay.
Hand on my phone, lying in bed. Will I be heard by this incessant beast? I say what I want in my head, not aloud, but somehow he hears without a
This is really interesting. I've never seen Fetch before.
curse upon me. Why? I can see.
I'm coming running for ya. Just tell me what you're after.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm no workers. Let's do that, Echo Master.
What is this dog? This is fine.
My life is a mess.
Let's jump on the bench. What you say, I'm obsessed.
Wide open, ready for the raw emotion, ready to be. Look, wow. Lost.
That is pretty cool, the animation. Nice. Interesting. Thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you for that.
What I've been trying to
That
do
was
with my
great. That was great,
theories, and
truly.
what I think some people on both sides misunderstand is that I'm not trying to use the
So I'm in
books
college
to solve
teaching
a
here with
continuity.
students.
I'm trying to use the
Okay,
books to establish
nice.
a canon that will then
That is
allow
your
us to
college
solve
degree. You
the
went to the
continuity.
college and you were
The
like, "Hey,
books
yo,
present
watch
us
this."
with themes,
They give you the job
concepts,
instantly. You know what I
characters,
mean?
and
They're like,
motivations
"Wow,
in
wow,
one continuity
how
that can then
cool."
inform our understanding of a separate
Yeah.
continuity, or at the very least, give us questions that we can ask of that continuity.
Very
Charlie, being a
cool.
robot in the books, tells us that in the canon of the Five Nights world, passable humanoid robots can actually be a thing. So, are there any characters in the games who this may or may not apply to? I don't know, but it's a question that we owe it to ourselves to ask because it's been established to be canon within this franchise. Do we know what these little pins are on Baby's design here in the game? No idea. In fact, most people probably didn't even remember that they existed in the first place. But in the books, they play an important role. These are the things that allow Baby to transform into a human disguise. Now, is that necessarily what they're doing in the game? No, definitely not. Is the best and likely only clue for what they really are coming from a separate continuity?